good. I talked to him. All right, all, we're going to get started. Thank you. The time is 7 o'clock. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I do not have any condolences this evening, but I would ask that folks take a brief moment of silence for all our service members and all those veterans who've passed previously. Thank you. I will take a motion from any of the counselors. We will have to enter executive session.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilor Perry and seconded by Councilor Spagone. So let me read it here. Executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body and the chair so declares Bridgewater's firefighter union. The council will come back to open session shortly after. So I will take a roll call vote on that.
Councilor Ellenberg,
Aye.
Councilor Spagone,
Aye.
Councilor Hunt,
Yes.
Councilor Kennedy,
Yes.
Councilor Murphy,
Yes.
Councilor Trocchio,
Yes.
Councilor Perry,
Yes.
Councilor Lindy,
Yes.
and Councilor McGrath.
Yes.
Okay, the council will move to conference room 201A, and then we will return back here for open session. Thank you. All right, all, thank you for your patience. We will move on to approval of minutes. So I have an approval for the May 19, 2026 meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Councilor Spigot, seconded by Councilor Perry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Moving on to the announcements from the president. I just have a quick announcement to update folks. We are going through the process of finalizing our town manager review. If you'll remember, over the course of this winter, all town councilors had the opportunity to submit a review of our town manager. Those reviews were compiled by our town council clerk, and we have one report. That report will be presented to the town manager, I believe it's next week. So Councilor Perry and myself will present that feedback to the town manager, and then hopefully we could follow up at a future town meeting. But just to let folks know, that process is happening and is underway. So again, more to come on that piece. That's the only announcement I have this evening, so I'll move on to proclamations. We have none, and then I will move to citizens' open forum. So due to Massachusetts open meeting law requirements, discussions will not take place during public comment periods. If appropriate, responses to questions will be given by the town manager at a future meeting. So anyone may comment at this time for up to 3 minutes.
My name is Thomas Shea. I live at 5 Tommy Ann Terrace, Bridgewater. I came here today because I was concerned about the library. Me and my wife, we joined the Friends of the Library, and we thought that maybe we could donate some money, so we gave him $1,000. My wife was thinking of that idea, and I thought that was a good idea. And I was just hoping that anyone listening to the show tonight could come up, not asking for, poor people who can't afford it, or people, but, I mean, if there are a lot of people, I mean, I can't be the only Martian here. So maybe somebody, all they need is, what, $60,000? And they'd be able to fund the library. Otherwise, I mean, they spent $1 million on that library, and to let it go for like 1% of the budget. I mean, if somehow we could come up with the money, then would they, I know it's only kicking the can down the road, but if anyone out there, like myself, were well off enough to give $1,000, somebody else would give $1,000. Not everyone can afford it, but if we got 60 people that give $1,000, there's a lot of people here. And the people are, they spend $1 million on that library, so I would hope that maybe, someone would follow my lead. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. I'm Nancy Sarno, 75 Lake Street. As a library trustee, I feel it is my duty to speak about the devastating cuts to the library. And truly, the trustees that are here tonight, and all of us, realize the economic difficulties and the water problems of Bridgewater. For the past 2 years, the library budget has been level funded. So this year, the 26% reduction has had a crushing impact. We trustees believe that we lucked out when Jed Phillips took the directorship 6 years ago. He has endeavored to do the best he can under difficult circumstances, and level funding is one of the problems. And he has assembled a stellar staff. The Mass Board of Library Commissioners set library regulations according to the population of the town. This year, the library will be short $175,000. So we need 175 people to give us 1,000 each, I guess. Anyway, to meet state compliance, we are now short $175,000. But more troubling is the fact, and this is right from the commissioners, regardless of the budget, if the library does not maintain the minimum open hours required by the state, it will automatically be decertified with no chance for waiver and no appeal process. Decertification means that our card holders can only use what's in that building over there. There'll be no access to sales or Hoopla or Libby. and they will be unable to go to any Massachusetts library and use their facilities or their books. In essence, we're blacklisted. I want to leave you with a couple of numbers. Our full-time staff works 35 hours. They don't work 40 hours. And they're going to be cut to 32. And right now, our 3 part-time employees will be laid off. Number 2, last year, the library provided 20 to 30 programs each month, free for our citizens. The library, as of now, will be closed 1/3 of the current operating hours. And lastly, the library had 66,000 visits last year. I can't ask you to ask me questions, no discussion, right? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Gina Gasconi, Wallet Avenue. I just have 2 things to briefly talk about. The first is on the agenda, Budget Order O FY27-006 CPA Reserve Accounts FY27. I just want to bring attention to the first sentence of the second paragraph, which references an amount for the acquisition, creation, and preservation of open space. Please note that this is for open space and recreation, not just open space. Although the two run together at times and the state puts them into the same pot, they actually cover separate areas and projects most of the time. Secondly, I would like to speak on the resolution offered by Councilors Lindy and Trocchio regarding the library. I understand wholeheartedly, like the whole town, that the most important thing right now for Bridgewater is water. However, there are other areas that are important as well and need fixing. These other areas do not stop because we have a water issue. The town needs to continue to operate. Our councilors and town manager have received numerous emails on water, library, schools, and I can imagine, all other areas. They can multitask and work on more than one issue at a time, which I believe they are all doing. The library is one of these. The library is one of these many other issues and is being addressed with this resolution. With the library funded as it is, slated for less days open with less hours, the town stands to lose accreditation. We are already on a way with the state. If minimum funding is not approved, then the town would have to come up with an additional allocation to replace the state library funding that we now receive. I've read a comment, I think today, I've read many comments, that the university has a library, which to me implied that the town doesn't need to fully fund ours. True, the university does have a library. However, is it suited for all ages, including youngsters and older people, and have the range of items and programs that ours does? No, it doesn't. To paraphrase something I saw, water gives us life and health. The library improves it by keeping our minds active. I urge that the council accept Councilor Lindy's and Trocchio's resolution to keep our library on its feet. I would also like to ask, not just the councilors, but anybody listening to this and all the townspeople, that we work together. Instead of against each other. I just see so many comments bashing this one, bashing that one. To improve our town to the best, we have to work together. Hopefully we have a solution for our water soon, the library, everything else. And one last thing, I don't know if it's even possible at this point, but our school budget has been devastated completely. Rainham has given 600,000, so much for just Rainham schools, which puts our students, Bridgewater students, when they get to the high school, it puts them at a disadvantage because Rainham just has that much more. It's been shown in the past. Rainham did that many years ago, and it does put our students at the disadvantage. So I would also like to see, and I know you guys don't have magic hats that you can just pull a rabbit out. I'd like to see more funding for the school, just a donation from the town, like similar to what Rainham does. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
Good evening, Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street. I echo what Gina says about the library, and I'll talk about that more in a moment. My first topic is to do with FY 26067 water rates. It has been said when they increase water rates in 2025 that it will lower the cost to average residents. The 7% figure had come up. I totally disagree with this. Our bill actually increased despite our water usage is very low. It actually increased when the town went to quarter bills years back. We paid less twice a year than we did 4 times a year. Now we are increasing it again, even though it's not even been a year, or hasn't been a year. And the expectation will be to increase it every year. I realize we need money to fix and maintain our water infrastructure, but please be mindful of people on fixed incomes. While it may not seem like a lot, it does add up. I hope it won't automatically increase every year like it says. That being said, we need to control water usage in town, even with the Plymouth Street wells going back online, or if we interconnect with another town or have another source. If we don't, we'll be right back where we are now. We just cannot go back to business as usual right away, since that is what got us in this mess to begin with. We need to slow down building and water connections. A water moratorium on new connections will still need to be in place for quite a while to get things stable. Otherwise, we'll still be in a water crisis. Not only do we have concerns with the quality of the water, we have concerns with the quantity of the water, and if we keep allowing building, we'll never get ahead. Even if they don't connect to the town water, it needs to be looked at as how much well water usage can actually affect underground water. It needs to be looked at, so I urge the town council to have a water moratorium and building moratorium. And there is a financial cost to buying water, too. That money could be used to fix our water infrastructure. I support Resolution RFY 26-015, exploration of additional water supply resources, but feel it should be an ordinance. While resolutions are good, they don't have as much teeth as an ordinance. I feel the term resolution is being used too much lately. And I do support DYF 26016, high-density data center ordinance. Library. I definitely feel we need to support the library. People need the library for so many things, yet it always seems to be the first thing cut in a budget. The children's library is extremely beneficial and very important. Children's programs are educational. I took our son, memories, to many programs over the years, and from a very young toddler to when he was older, I enjoyed them just as much as he did. Sorry, and they were on Saturdays. Parents who work during the week would not be able to take time off to bring their child to the library, and nighttime isn't good either because bedtime for the kids. With the library having reduced hours, these programs are gone, which would be very sad. I remember when we lost accreditation years ago, and it was not fun. Between losing hours to not being able to share books between libraries and not even be able to borrow books with your own library card at those libraries and no kids programs is very sad. You have 2 library resolutions before you tonight, both with good intentions. Personally, a resolution RFY 26-017 regarding full funding of the library budget, I support this resolution as I feel it pushes for more options and fully fund the library budget to maintain hours, accessibility, and long-term sustainability. The language, I think, is just better. Internet is not the only way to obtain information. Libraries do so much more. Resolution FY 26-016 is good, but I feel 017 is stronger, and I'm wondering if maybe the 2 can be combined in some way. So please, please support the library. Thank you.
My name is David Moore, 54 Flag Street, Chairman of the Historical Commission. I wasn't going to talk about the library, but I just want to point out that last year, the library archivist moved on to another position, and her position was not, her replacement was not funded. So the Historical Commission has taken a tremendous cut as far as the ability of people to access the materials in the historical room. The librarian, the head librarian, has done a tremendous job in trying to make provisions for us to get in and access that material, but it's still very, very difficult. What I came here mainly for, or one of the things, I got a call from the town manager's office about a week ago, and Greg Storr, who operates Motor Cars International, he's closing down his business, and he had purchased this many years ago and hung it in his building. This is a copy of a print, an original print that hung in Perkins Foundry from 1848 and on. I would date the print somewhere about 1850. And Greg he's not much for presentations, so he asked me if I'd bring it down and say a few words about the print. We hope that it will be displayed in the Academy building in a prominent place, because it was one of Bridgewater's most important industries through starting in 1694 and running right up until July of 2025, when Perkins Foundry finally closed. I'll leave this over here with the clerk. The other two things I want to talk about. As you've seen, the banners are up again. We had a pretty good turnout. We've teamed up with Al Lacerda and his Fire for Effect Foundation, and he has been a godsend to the program. He was very instrumental in getting all of our banners down last fall, and he helped us get them all up again this year. My group is aging out, including myself, and we shouldn't be up on ladders. So Al has a resource of some younger people who are more than willing to help us out. 2 weeks ago, they voted to take us under their wing. Our Facebook page manager has taken ill, and he's no longer able to do it. So Fire for Effect Foundation is going to help us out in many ways. So I would like to thank them and the townspeople who helped us get these banners up. And the last thing I want to talk about, maybe an explanation has been given, but I haven't heard it yet, as to why the town has not taken advantage of the land that Stiles and Hart Brick has offered to the town. I know it is not a proven well field for the town of Bridgewater, but it is part of a proven well field for the town of Middleborough, which is, although there are no Middleborough wells in Bridgewater, just across the river, Middleborough has a number of wells, and I think it's a Mazaris well field. But that aquifer extends across the river, and we have a chance to receive for free 45 acres. Now, I know this is an immediate fix. You're looking at 6 to 8 years down the road at best for developing something down there, but it's free. It's a proven resource, a proven aquifer. If it doesn't prove out as an aquifer, we get 45 acres of open space along the river, and it has no street frontage, so it's not like we're taking industrial land away from our tax base. I see it as an excellent opportunity, and I hope someday we can get an explanation on why the town has decided not to take that piece of property from Mr. Andrews. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alex Crawford.
My name is Madison Gear.
We're both juniors here at the Bridgewater High School, and we've come to a time where we need to complete the Massachusetts Civics Project. Our group for this project was tasked with thinking of a problem in our community that we could come up with a solution and actually implementing it. My group has decided to focus on mental clinicians and more specifically, their role in the police department. Mental clinicians, for those who don't know, are extremely beneficial to the police department, and they arrive to calls that involve a mental crisis. Our goal for this project is to raise awareness on the topic of mental clinicians and the many beliefs they come with, and eventually help the Bridgewater PD to gain the support they need to apply for a grant for an additional mental clinician on staff.
Not only are we trying to raise awareness on the mental clinicians themselves, we would also like to point out that the issue of mental health crisis is not because of the people that are committing these crimes doing it with a criminal intent. And we've learned this through our many conversations with Lieutenant Heil at the Bridgewater Police Department, and we've had many conversations with him. We've talked with the Rainham Police Department, as I'll mention. So we've definitely done our research on this topic, just so you guys know. And the Bridgewater Police Department currently shares a clinician among 4 towns, which does not allow them to have an optimal use of the clinician that is already on staff. As we all know, one person cannot be at 4 places at once. This makes good parts of having a clinician on staff mean less because the benefits cannot be discovered if the clinician's in 4 different towns. You can't explore all of those different benefits that come from having a clinician. We've spoken at the Rainham Police Department, and who currently splits their clinician, Dawn, with another town. The police officer that we spoke to in the police department claims that their clinician will do regular check-ins with the people brought into the station. She keeps them supported and gives them additional assistance. Bridgewater cannot do this as well as Rainham because of that split amongst those 4 towns. This goes to show how beneficial the clinicians are because they're able to give immediate mental assistance on scene right during the call. They report with that police officer on the call. And they give regular check-ins to the people brought into the station and also offer additional overall support to these individuals. The reality of the issue is that police are not trained to the full extent of being able to give the person mental assistance. They are only taught to de-escalate the situation as best as possible. While we do appreciate the work that they do, it is prevalent as to why a clinician is needed at calls having to do with a mental crisis.
Our proposed solution is to gain your support and the town's support in order to successfully apply for an additional grant that will either give Bridgewater PD their own clinician or one that will not spread amongst 4 towns. This matters for Bridgewater because a dedicated clinician will co-respond with officers, providing instant de-escalation and specialized care on scene without having to rely on an overextended clinician. To show urgency and widespread public desire for the resource, our group created a petition and conducted a targeted survey. The strong response from local residents, the information gathered from both Bridgewater and Rainham PD, and data gathered from our survey clearly show that Bridgewater families want and support modern, specialized approaches to community safety and mental health response. If you also would like to support our initiative, we have brought along with us small info sheets with a link to our petition that you can sign to show our support that is needed to make this happen. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you all for your work with that project. We would love to receive that data if possible, or any information you have. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Ray Ajemian, Alders Road. As an introduction, I don't like reading speeches. I like to just speak, but I want to be careful about this one. And secondly, as I age, my ability to speak without notes is becoming less and less, so bear with me. I'm here as a representative of BCCR, Bridgewater Communities for Civil Rights. BCCR was formed more than 10 years ago because of an unfortunate incident in the Bridgewater post office where a woman verbally attacked a Muslim couple. She was asked to leave by the postmaster, but continued making negative remarks to the couple outside. That incident brought some of us together to form what is now BCCR, Bridgewater Communities for Civil Rights. In short, BCCR firmly believes in the United States Constitution with its Bill of Rights. What does that mean? Regarding religion, there is no official state religion in this country. It cannot be a requirement for holding office, and everyone has the right to freely practice his or her own religion, or none at all. Regarding marriage and sexual orientation, nothing is said in the Constitution. But what is said under the 14th Amendment is that we all have equal protection of the laws. And I quote, No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction equal protection of the laws. And that, by the way, includes non-citizens, too. Obviously, stating our rights and implementing them are two different things. As we all know, Native Americans, blacks, women, and others have a long history of being discriminated against and for some enslavement. The main reason why things are somewhat better today is that people have pushed our government to abide by the Constitution and to enforce laws and simply do what is right. We still have a long way to go. In a small way, BCCR has tried to make sure that those basic rights are accepted here in our town. We have done so by standouts, forums, gatherings such as Juneteenth and so forth, and the Pride Month flag raising, which was yesterday at the library, and of course, speaking to you. Now, as a group, we don't need recognition for our efforts, only that we know that people are treated fairly. I will say, though, that we were very appreciative when the council, 9 or 10 years ago, not only approved, but actually helped us write a welcoming proclamation that now hangs downstairs in this building. That was important to us. At this point, I was going to turn this over to Janice Means, who is our chair, but a couple hours ago, she had to take her mother to the hospital. So what I'm about to tell you is that we did get an award from an outside firm. I just want to make you aware of this. And this award came from the Eastern Bank Foundation, their philanthropic arm. And it says this year's honorees are advancing a range of approaches to democracy, sustainable work. These leaders are helping to protect fundamental democratic rights and create pathways for more people to participate fully in civic life. We are proud to celebrate these leadership and impact across the region, and we have the opportunity to learn from them. On May 27th, they had an award ceremony in Boston, which Janice was able to go, and we did get the award then. It's a monetary award of $5,000. And as much as money is nice, we appreciate somebody in particular from the outside recognizing the fact that we are trying to do some important work in town. And so we just want you to make you aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa Raymondetta, 317 Lakeside Drive. Good evening, councilors. The CED director noted at the January 20th, 2026 Town Council meeting that all 3 pre-approved commercial projects, including Broad Street, Perkins, and the Lakeshore Center Hotel, must complete a water impact statement. The building permit for the hotel, now known as 6 Lakeshore Center, is currently going through the permitized process waiting for sign-off. Residents who have asked town officials about the existence of the water impact statement for 6 Lakeshore Center have been told that a water impact study is not required by ordinance. So to be clear, as it relates to the 3 pre-approved commercial projects, a water impact statement was generated for Broad Street. However, no water impact statement is required now for the other 2 pre-approved projects, including the hotel and the Perkins development, because the town now has determined a water impact statement is not required by ordinance. When did the town change the requirements? Why did the rules change midstream? When did the requirement for the water impact statement for the 3 pre-approved projects change, and why was there no notification to the public? Further to this, I would like to know the status of the proposed ordinance DFY 2613 introduced by Councilors Kennedy and former Councilor Loretti, entitled the Water Supply Capacity and Development Review. Please also update the public on the status of Councilor Spagone's Water Act. I support Councilor Murphy's ordinance DFY 2616 to include high-density data centers in the zoning table of uses and to ensure that this use is a no in all zoning districts. The time is now to protect our water supply. I support Councilor Lindy Introcchio's resolution RFY 2617 that explores all options to fully fund the Bridgewater Public Library. I also support Councilor Spagone's resolution RFY 2616 that supports funding of the library to maintain accreditation. Ideally, the town of Bridgewater should ensure that the needs of our library are met in full, including meeting all accreditation requirements and being able to maintain operation of regular hours, staffing levels, collections, and materials purchases for the benefit of the public. Thank you to the Bridgewater Public Library and its wonderful staff for co-hosting with the Taunton River Watershed Alliance the event Splash into Science, What is a Watershed? On June 24th at 6:30 p.m. for ages 5 to 12. Please bring your family to learn about the watershed you live in. Bridgewater is an integral part of the Taunton River Watershed, and the Taunton River Watershed Alliance invites all to the Taunton River Festival on Sunday, June 14th, from 11 to 4 at Weir Village Riverfront Park on East Water Street in Taunton. Over 100 vendors, music, food trucks, boat tours, and children's activities to enjoy. Check out SaveTheTaunton.org for more information. Thank you.
My bad. Can I raise this up a little bit? Oh, this bit? All right, that's fine. Evan Tarver, 74 Paddock Road. I fully support the RFY 2617, Tim Trocchio's and Lindy's resolution. A society that fails to educate its citizens in future iterations has failed and will continuously reap those failures. However, this isn't a town failure, but a federal and state government failure. It's a systemic failure. This happens from the top down. We're looking at each other for money that we don't even have. The U.S. spends $1 billion of our tax dollars every day bombing kids in Iran right now. And our president wants $1 billion ballroom as a vanity project, and we're looking at each other for money that we don't have again. Our library is underfunded, losing accreditation, our schools are underfunded, and our water is an atrocious disaster. The money is out there, it's just misappropriated, and it's not coming back to us. I worry about our schools, water, and library. I want to plant seeds of trees I will never see the shade of, and that's okay, because that's what a good, healthy, functioning society does for its future. Thank you.
Good evening. Stephanie Quirk, 283 Cherry Street. My husband grew up in this town, so we decided to settle here, and now we're raising our 2 children. A few years ago, my husband and I decided that we would homeschool. I wasn't sure exactly how I would do it, how we would do it, but I've been told by a number of friends that you can do it well with willingness, time, and a library card. So far, that has proven to be true, and I think we've just scratched the surface. The library is a place we frequent weekly. We know the faces at the library well. We are still very early in our homeschool journey, but we've spent many hours exploring the bookshelves, sitting and reading stacks of books, playing library events like story time, learning events, and seasonal offerings. The books available at our local library are wonderful, but the books available throughout the network are extremely vast. We have ordered countless books that align with our nature curriculums, holiday learnings, and a plethora of incredible living books. A single library can only hold so many, so putting books on reserve from other libraries in the network and having them delivered to our library is invaluable. Great literature is one of the many ways to open up the world to a child, to teach through rich language and beautiful illustrations, something a workbook or a class could never teach. I feel like the world is at our fingertips, literally. We have about 50 books checked out at any one time from libraries from all over the South Shore. My littles are enthralled with thumbing through them and sitting and listening to me bringing the pictures to life by reading aloud. We also heavily utilize the Libby and Hoopla apps to listen to audiobooks on car rides, while painting, or so my voice can have a break. We've borrowed a number of classics that have enthralled my children, and without these apps, we wouldn't have listened to any of these amazing stories. Our family chooses to utilize our library and its network in this way. It is serving us incredibly well. Reducing hours and decertifying the library would be devastating to our family, and we ask that you support a resolution that would keep our public library funded. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you all for everybody that spoke this evening. We will move on to E, appointments. We have 8 appointments, so bear with us. We're going to take each of these appointments individually. We're going to start with the first one, the Conant Trust Fund, John Sylvia.
So move. Second.
Motion by Councilor Lindy, seconded by Councilor Perry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, moving on to the second one, Conservation Committee, Marilyn McDonald.
So move.
Second.
for discussion?
Motion made by Councilor Hunt and then seconded by Councilor Spagone for discussion. Any discussion?
Yep. I had a question, Mr. President. Do we just typically just get the list of names? Do we even get like a letter from the person seeking reappointment saying, I'd like to be reappointed, or do we just naturally assume that these appointments wish to be put back on the committee? Would be nice to actually see if someone said, yes, I would like to request that I be reappointed. I know often in the past when I wanted to be reappointed, I would send notification to my appointing authority, which in that case would be the town clerk. But not seeing anything, I'm kind of curious as to, is this the common procedure? Because I think you should probably have something shared with residents, or at least on the agenda, to say that this resident does want to, and if they don't, then we look at another person.
So as part of the reappointment process for the town manager's appointments, we do reach out to all of these appointments. Once we have confirmation that they are interested in moving forward, then we do list them as a reappointment if I'm deciding to reappoint them. So we actively do reach out to these members. And so these members in particular, we did reach out to them. They did say they wanted to be reappointed, and I obviously want to reappoint them. For example, there's going to be more reappointments at following council meetings. We haven't heard from them there if they're interested in being appointed. So if they're not interested, we won't move forward with them.
So I guess my question, Mr. President, through you to the town manager, why don't we actually see the letters to say that they want to be reappointed? Is that just something that's more or less your prerogative, or is that just the standard procedure?
That's been the standard procedure. Typically for reappointments, for example, for new appointments, we put their applications based on a discussion we had with the council. They wanted to see applications, they wanted to see a resume. In terms of reappointments, we typically haven't done that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Kennedy?
Through you, Mr. President, to the town manager. This one reappointment, I know it's had to recuse themselves on Concom meetings. Are you aware of that and associated factors around that? Has there been a discussion with this person?
Yes.
Okay.
May I make a
Councilor Lander?
comment? Yes. The fact that this person had to recuse themselves, my understanding is that Maryland's Landing is near wells 10A and 10B, and there is some question as to what takes precedence, the business or the conservation position. So I think that it would be better to have someone else who does not have a potential conflict of interest.
Thank you, Mr. President. If we're going to go by that, then one of the town councils would have to be removed because they've had to recuse themselves, the planning board and the zoning board. So other committees have had, individuals had to recuse themselves, and planning, it was on their own property. So I see no reason to go after this one if we're going to have to go at everyone that has a conflict of interest.
Any further?
I would second that, because people who've offered, and especially this woman, has offered her skills for many, many years. So if something comes up that happens to be something she would have to recuse herself for, that's good policy, that she does that. Most things, she doesn't have to do that. If something came up that actually includes some of her property or something for which she has meaning, it's smart, and it's good policy that she recused herself for that action.
Councilor Lindy?
I think further on down in the agenda, we're going to talk about council training, and one thing during the council training that we really need to go over with everybody is what actually does indicate a conflict of interest. I think that would be helpful to all of us and to the public.
Any further comments on this appointment? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and a second, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
One.
Yes.
So the vote is 7-2. Okay. Moving on, the DEIB Committee, Shirley Phillips.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Lindy. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 9-0. DEIB Committee, Ashley Hanson Brown.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Spagone. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. DEIB Committee, Phillips Nichols.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Spagone. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to the Disability Committee, Lorraine Carrazza.
So moved.
Second.
Second, yeah.
Motion made by Councilor Lindy, seconded by Councilor Spagone. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Moving on to the Planning Board, Daniel Greenberg.
So moved.
Second.
If we could just slow down a little bit on the movements and the seconds, just so our town council clerk can record them. So let's try that one more time. I know everybody's eager, but there are no stats at the end of the year, I promise.
I apologize for the eagerness, Mr. President.
Okay, let's try it again.
So moved.
Second.
Very good. Councilor Perry made the motion, seconded by Councilor Spagone. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-0. Okay, the final one, Tree Committee, Patricia Neary.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Spagone, seconded by Councilor Perry. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Great. Moving on to F, hearings. We have none. So we'll move to G, license transactions. We'll move to petition P 2026-023, transfer of lodging housing license. Pangea Housing Services LLC, 46 Main Street. So I will open the public hearing at 8:09 p.m. And I will note that this hearing was advertised in the 5/20/26 Enterprise. I'll ask the petitioner if they're here, if they have any updates to give or any comments.
Hi, my name's Scott Dabney. I don't have any updates. It is scheduled to close after, or if it's successfully approved in this meeting, sometime later this week.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, I'll ask if there are any, you're all set. Thank you. Ask if there are any general questions from the public. Seeing none, I'll ask if there's anyone from the public that wishes to speak in favor. Seeking none, I'll ask if there's anybody from the public who wishes to speak in opposition. Seeing none, I'll ask counselors if they have any questions. Councilor Lindy?
I'm just going to ask through you to the town manager if everything is up to date.
Yes, we've received their application fees. We've received recommendations from our respective departments, and everything is in order, and that can be confirmed with Deb as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Lindy. Councilor Spagone?
Yes, Mr. President. I'm just going to ask you a quick question. I know a few months back, I think there was a resident that had come in and had expressed concerns about this particular property, if I'm remembering that correctly. Have those issues been addressed by chance through you, Mr. President, to the town manager?
We did reach out to the resident. We had multiple people reach out to the resident, but it wasn't this property. There was another property.
Just gonna stay for that.
Thank you,
Councilor
Mr.
McGrath.
President. I'm wondering if the resident manager, Gene Grady, does he live in town, or is he going to reside at this house if there's problems?
Gene Grady is a manager who does not live in town. There's an on-site manager there currently that is going to stay on and continue to manage and run the property.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
Any further questions?
What's his name?
the current manager is Robin Garrity and her husband Paul Garrity, and they live on site.
Okay, seeing no more questions, thank you very much. I will close the hearing. The time is 8:12, and I will ask for any motions.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Spigot, seconded by Councilor Lindy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes 9-0. Moving on to presentations, we have none. I will move to the town manager report. We have one item, water update.
Good evening. I'm going to sub in for Bill and give sort of an operational update about the work that's going on at 10A10B, as well as the water department. So in terms of Plymouth Street treatment system upgrades, significant milestones have been achieved. As construction equipment installation progress is on schedule at this point. Piping infrastructure, backwash supply lines, and oxidized water lines have been successfully installed up to the new filter pads. In terms of Sure, yeah, we're moving fast for this one. We're trying to be cognizant of the time. Iron and manganese filters arrived last week and have been securely mounted onto the concrete pad. Piping installation for the internal components is currently underway. In terms of PFAS remediation, the concrete pad for PFAS filters is currently being poured. Once that concrete cures, then we can put the filtration units into place. In terms of electrical and SCADA integration, we are collaborating closely with our electrical contractor and integrator to configure the internal components, ensuring seamless automation and monitoring ahead of the new system startup. I know that all of our counselors, I think a majority of you or all of you have scheduled time to be on site to see a tour of what we're doing there. In terms of the public, we on our website, there's a water dashboard where we're providing all this information, pictures about the progress that we're doing at the well 10A, 10B, as well as giving updates in terms of our overall system on the website. So it's giving a lot of information that trying to be as transparent and as clear as possible about the progress we're doing at 10A and 10B, but the water system overall. In terms of water conservation emergency enforcement, water department crews are actively patrolling the community to identify and address non-essential outdoor water use. I really want to reiterate, because I know we did appear on the podcast with Mary talking about this water emergency. One of the comments I've heard is that we've had Tier 4 water restrictions in town for many years, but we haven't had a water emergency in town. And the state petitioned a water emergency. So I'm really calling upon our residents, our community, to adhere to those water restrictions. They're there for a reason. I know we've had them in place many years before, but they're here now for a reason. So please, as difficult as it is to not fill our pools and water our lawns, please do so. In terms of infrastructure maintenance, Well 5 has been successfully redeveloped and brought back online. There was some maintenance work that we had to do. A pump was entirely replaced under warranty, and so that's restoring some critical supply to our water system. Transmission main, I know in some of the presentations we talked about tuberculation with the iron manganese in our piping. So we're looking at undergoing some work to mitigate tuberculation. Our team is looking at potentially new water transmission main. We're potentially talking with East Bridgewater to do some high jetting into those pipes to clear out some tuberculation. So we're doing a lot of work there to add capacity and add supply. A couple additional things. One, as people remember, in December of 2025, the town petitioned the state for a water emergency. And I felt it was the right decision to make, so we could try to expedite and work as quickly as possible to make the infrastructure improvements that we're doing. And I'll highlight months. These projects we talked about for years to get 10A, 10B to pipe them to our treatment plant. We were gonna have potentially a new treatment plant entirely in months, and we were able to do that in collaboration with MassDEP under this water emergency. But we petitioned for a 6-month water emergency. So that water emergency state would be expiring in June. So I'm just informing the council and informing the community. My intention in working with our water superintendent, I will petition the state to continue that water emergency so we can continue to do the work that we need to do. During that period, we have been successful in getting a grant for $2 million to help offset the work. I'm letting the council know that I have applied, or my team has applied for additional grants through the One Stop for Shop program. I met with the Secretary of EOHLC and their team, so we submitted grants for additional support for Vernon Street well development, for additional grants for downtown wayfinding signage, for additional water infrastructure improvements, design and engineering potentially, for alternative water sources. So we're working as aggressively and as timely as possible, doing a lot of work in months that was planned for years. So we're taking it very seriously, but I did want to let people know that I do intend to petition the state to continue that water emergency. So that's my update.
So through you to the town manager, all the wonderful information that you provided very quickly in the interest of time, is that on the water dashboard? Will that be on the water dashboard so residents and the public will understand all that?
Good. I would say the progress reports in terms of the work that they're doing 10AB, it's online. It's on the water dashboard. In terms of sort of grants that we applied, I wouldn't put that on the dashboard. As you guys have gotten to know me, I'm fairly conservative. We applied for example, that $2 million grant months. I was advocating for that months ago, but I didn't want to, advertise because it wasn't guaranteed to be there. So once we do receive those grants, I obviously would let the community and let you all know. So that's not something that we put on the dashboard because you can apply for it, but you may not receive it. Right? What were some of the other updates that I provided? I think, in terms of providing as much information to the council and to the community as possible, I do, in collaboration, talking with council president, I've made a decision I want to hold a water forum in June. And so, for example, that's something that we're going to have here in the council chambers so they can, the community can ask questions directly of myself and our team, but we're going to record that. So that would be something where you could probably get a lot more of that information about what we're doing.
Thank you.
That's a great thing to highlight too, Justin. I know we talked about doing a presentation, maybe covering some brief questions on water enterprise funds, how that works in the big picture, and then talk about what our current status is and where we're going with that, and then opening it up to the public to ask questions, which I know folks have been asking for a while, so that we can provide that forum to really give it the time and respect and answer the questions that need to be answered. So thank you for that. I know it's something we've been working through.
I would add that I've had, and I include this as part of my operational updates, I've had multiple town manager forums individualized and with the community at the senior center here at the council chamber. So we've had those opportunities. So this is not something new, but this is just something that I think obviously is really important here in June, as much progress as we've made, to give another venue for our residents to reach out. It will be recorded by BTV. I believe we've already established that. So if you're unable to attend that meeting when we do schedule, I believe it'll be June 23rd, 6:30. If you're not able to attend, we will record it. And so that information will be made available online.
And to the councilors, anything we can do once those plans are finalized in the next, hopefully, few days, anything we can do to push it out to residents to make everybody aware. Facebook, calls, whatever it takes, just so folks know that that opportunity exists. That's all.
Yes, thank you. I have a few comments. I would like to read something into the record. And this is from Troy Clarkson to Justin Casanova Davis. And it says, "We are working on finalizing a proposed intermunicipal agreement, IMA, to provide 1 million gallons per day of water to the town of Bridgewater. We anticipate providing you with a draft sometime next week, and I intend to bring it to the City Council as soon as we have agreed to the details. The draft agreement will align with the priorities of both the town of Bridgewater and the city of Brockton." Now, I had raised the issue of whether or not we should go after Lincoln Andrews land because it is within our municipality. I received another thing at my counselor email, and it says this: "With respect to the Aquaria water plant, which some officials in our city wish to purchase, the current pumping limitation is 3.8 million gallons per day. If Brockton is required to reserve 2.0 million gallons per day, that leaves only 1.8 million gallons per day, which might help a neighboring community. The issue is even more complex. Aquaria Water was determined to be an interbasin transfer by the state. Unless that decision has been reversed, many requirements are triggered with interbasin transfers. I believe there is a state document indicating that any community other than Brockton which desires to tie into Aquaria Water must first demonstrate all reasonable conservation efforts with that town's current water source and all potential future sources that were examined within the community, such as Lincoln Andrews land. If Bridgewater proceeds with a desire to purchase water from Brockton Aquaria, I strongly recommend a thorough examination of all permitting costs, costs for infrastructure, and the capacity of the plant itself given the current water permit under which the plant operates. The figure floated for Brockton to purchase Aquaria is $55 million. And this is from Winthrop Farrell, Councilor at Large, Brockton City Council. I would like them both in the record, please.
You have a question?
And I have copies for you, yeah.
Councilor Lundberg, do you have a question to follow up, or are you just reading that?
That was my comment to read it into the record.
Okay. Any other questions for the town manager? Councilor McGrath?
Through you, Mr. President, to the town manager. It's my understanding of the different conversations that the town councils had, well, I've had with, like, the president of Loretti and stuff, that the land was not free from Lincoln. It was my understanding there would be a cost. Do you know anything about that?
The only indication we've had, the only indication that we've had from Lincoln Andrews' team directly to me has been there was a desire for a purchase of property. That's the only conversation with myself. I'm not going to get into any further conversation regarding that, but there you go.
That's what President Loretti told me. I was just wondering if he said the same thing. That's it.
I would just tell folks before we go further too, and I don't want to stop the conversation, but we will discuss at the resolution later what the plan is going forward. And so if we're asking long-term plans, I don't know if it's better served waiting for that moment. But we can certainly ask now and double up on it too. But I just want to remind folks that we will talk about sort of our bigger picture plan and where we're going, hopefully with that resolution later in the agenda as well. So I will go to Councilor Spagone, Kennedy, and then Lindy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Following up on Ms. Ellenberg's reading of that letter into the record, you know, I recognize that sometimes stuff isn't necessarily ready for prime time. Reading that email, I'm kind of curious, why wasn't something like this shared with the town council back earlier in the year? Was this something that was already in the works or in negotiation that could not have been released to the public yet? Seeing that this, I think, came from some form of records request, would this have ever been briefed to the council at some point? I've only been here a few weeks, but I can tell you right now, I'm a little concerned that if the council didn't get this back in March when this happened, when we were having these types of conversations, my previous, you know, my predecessor along with his colleagues, why wasn't this shared? I mean, I would think this doesn't sound like something that would be, you know, controversial or jeopardizing any type of an agreement or proposal. It does sound like something that, and I know Mr. Clarkson. I used to work with him, and I have a friendship with him through, you know, being a professional. I don't see this being something that should have been kept from anybody. It should have been shared as public information to say, just to give you guys an update, we're working on this. We don't have necessarily pen to paper yet. We don't have a signature on it yet, but this is something that we might have in, you know, in the running. It's something that we could possibly produce to you folks. And worst case scenario, the city says no at their council meeting. We would respect that, but you know, that being said, this is something that we are in communication with, and we're working hard to try to ensure it actually goes through.
Councilor Spagone, I would just say to that before it goes to the town manager that I sat through meetings here and we discussed that openly, that Brockton would be an option, and we asked the town manager to pursue that and find out what the possibility would be in that. We did that in open meeting, and I understand that maybe what Ms. Ellenberg read wasn't exactly shared word for word, but it has always been the desire, to my knowledge, in the meetings I've sat through, that the council asked the town manager to pursue every option for the town. And that was an option that I believe we've discussed at length in terms of where the town should go and whether the town should pursue that. I would just say from my standpoint, I see no issues with what Ms. Ellenberg had written. Obviously, there wasn't an agreement in place or it would have came to the town council, but I personally don't see anything wrong with our town manager exploring that option.
No, but to your point, Mr. President, I get that, and I actually was in attendance in some of those council meetings where you guys had those discussions, but it sounds like something like that, which would have been, a great thing to report to folks, is we actually may have this solution in hand right now. I get that you asked that the town manager explore all possible solutions, but that sounds like there was already a solution in place, or it was very tentatively close to being agreed upon. I don't understand why there had to be vagueness through those conversations. It seems like that may have been withheld from y'all. And
Well,
I'm just
I would
concerned
say-
about that.
Excuse me. I would say it was not withheld from us, and clearly that was 2 or 3 months ago, and there still has not been an agreement. So I would say for the town manager to report that openly and then give folks the false hope that this agreement could have gone through in March, which was, I believe, the date Ms. Ellenberg read.
Yes.
I think would have put us in a worse position now. I don't think there was anything being withheld in that, and I certainly agree with Ms. Ellenberg reading it into the record. I think it's informative, but I would just caution us on saying that our town manager withheld anything, because again, we discussed that in open forum as an option.
May I
But
comment?
Ms. Ellenberg, yes, certainly.
Yes. I am not specifically saying that things have been withheld unduly. My beef with the situation is there has not been equal treatment. There has not been equal treatment between Brockton Dighton on one side and Lincoln Andrews on the other side. There is an obvious bias and disparity. So.
One, I'm gonna speak for myself a little bit. I know Councilor Kennedy wants to speak to. I have multiple times in public venues here at the council talked about that option. I've talked individually with all of the councilors here. I know you're one of the new ones. I know where Mr. Trocchio is as well. But it's been a part of my operational updates. It's been about several presentations that are all on the website. It specifically says that. I know, once again, I mentioned that I was on the podcast with Mary and Paul. I understand that residents can't attend every council meeting. We're not expecting that. We're a town of almost 30,000 people. We don't have 30,000 people at our meetings every night. So I try to get it to all venues. It's in written form in my operational updates. It's here at council meetings. It's on the podcast. I specifically talked about it, the 1 million gallons of water potentially. I've talked about the challenges regarding that. I disagree with the notion about equal. I've said from the beginning, my job and how I look at this is I'm going to present as much information as possible to the council, and the council in a collaborative form, we will make determinations what we think is best for this community. I've stood by that. I continue to do that, and I will do what I said as I have done.
Councilor Kennedy.
First, we've definitely spoken about that in this room, and I've spoken privately with other councilors about this topic because we've spoke about it at our public meetings. That conversation has come up. Part of that process has been our town manager doing his due diligence to investigate the process, to see what is available out there before bringing it to councilors at a public meeting, to have that discussion openly as to whether or not it's something the council wants to go through with or not. Through you to the town manager, Mr. President. If there was any movement on that permanently, or that was a serious option to be looked at, is that going to go to the town council?
Absolutely, as I've said before.
Okay.
Can I just real quick, just from a strictly a legal perspective, in terms of bargaining for the purchase of real property, we would never discuss in an open meeting during the negotiation of a purchase of real property, because we would put the town at a tremendous disadvantage in bargaining. So the reason that exemptions exist under the open meeting law for that very thing, for those things to be discussed in executive session, is it is incredibly detrimental to the town to get the best deal on any purchase of real estate if it is discussed in open meeting. So I would tell you that if there were serious discussions about purchasing real property, I, as the town attorney, would be advising the town manager to have those discussions with you all in executive session, and I would expect that because it's an executive session, none of that would be discussed outside of this room, because all you would be doing is jeopardizing the town's ability to purchase property for the best price. So there is a very specific reason that things like that sit within the realm of an exemption to open meetings. So I just want to be clear about that. There is a contextual element to this from a legal standpoint that you would never negotiate in an open session about the purchase of real property. And the government is very clear, and they allow us that exemption for that, for the reason we want the town to be in the best possible position if the town decides to explore the option of purchasing real property.
Thank you. The Lincoln Andrews property continues to come up. I don't want to dive into it too much, but what I will say is the discussion surrounding this particular property has transitioned from there's a well readily available for us to hook up to it's not actually a municipal well, it's just certified, and residents asking why we can't just hook up a hose to it and pump it right into our water supply. That well has double the manganese that our Plymouth Street wells have, and now it's shifted to a separate property. And now it's also shifted to that property being given to the town for free. So if anyone is following along here, this has been shifted a lot online, and it has been brought to the council multiple times. The council has discussed this property, and I'm just going to propose this question again, even though it was already asked to the town manager. Have we been offered that any parcel over there for free?
No.
Okay, thank you. Because this has gone on for months and months, and every step of the way it has been something that just quite isn't right. And now apparently the property is for free. The property's tax status has changed multiple times during this entire discussion for the town taking this property over. So if that is truly for free, then I would hope that Lincoln Andrews would send that information to our town manager, who can then give that to the town council, and we can take a serious look at taking property over for free. But at the moment, it's not free. And anybody getting that information, from where we sit, it is not accurate. So we have shifted from a municipal well readily available to pump into our water supply to a separate landlocked parcel of land that we cannot readily access except through power lines, through the power company, to take this land over. So is it maybe wise for the town to collect land in certain areas that may make sense for the town? Absolutely. Is it appropriate for the town to plan in advance for these things? Absolutely. We've done that. We have wells on Vernon Street that need to be hooked up and paid for. We don't have the funding for it. But to buy land for some amount of money or be given it for free, it's kind of irrelevant right now because it's at least 8 to 10 years out. It's not going to make any difference to our current water supply situation. A lot of us want the water supply to stay in Bridgewater. We want it to stay within our control. Conversations about outside water sources, in my opinion, would hopefully be to bridge the gap for us to be able to maintain our own destiny on water. But our current situation is pretty tough, and we're trying to deal with it the best we can. But that property continues to come up, and I would hope that people are following along with how much that conversation has shifted in the last 5 months or so, because it's been quite a bit. And at this point, it's landlocked land. If that is offered to us, I hope we have that discussion. And I know that we have a resolution on here to discuss this stuff further, and I hope that is part of the process that you go through as our town manager and bring that information to us. But as of right now, this conversation around this land has shifted so dramatically from all different angles and directions that I would hope that some of the public would realize how much that conversation truly has shifted. Thank you.
Councilor Lundy.
First of all, I want to thank Councilor Kennedy for just kind of crystallizing that. It's my understanding, if I believe what I read, that the offer's been withdrawn. I don't think there is an offer for free land. I think it's a purchase. Also, Councilor Murphy, you put forward a resolution to explore all possible water sources. That's what we're asking the town manager to do. So I think that's what he's going to do. I know we discussed this in public, because I'm the one, formerly from Brockton, that has cautioned everybody about Aquaria water. Yes, it's PFAS. Brockton does not own that plant. They've tried to buy it under 4 or 5 successive mayors. The price keeps going up. It was owned by a Spanish company that had no accountability whatsoever in this country. It's since been sold to I don't know who. I don't want to even think about it unless we get to see it. and see if it's not a 25 or 30-year-old plant that's run down. I want us to depend on our own sources of water. I think all of them should be explored. Everything should be explored. But I think that's what's happening. So onward and upward.
Councilor Perry?
Thank you. I do echo Councilor Kennedy's sentiments there. Well said, and I agree wholeheartedly with what you stated. To the town manager, I know you mentioned before extending the water emergency. Was that for another 6 months? Can you confirm?
It will be another 6 months.
Okay. And if we don't need the full 6 months, can that be pulled sooner than 6 months?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just want to confirm that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Trocchia?
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Through you, Mr. President, to the town manager. My question is, do we still have vacancies available on the Water Advisory Committee for residents to apply to?
Yes, well, we have two committees that are sort of water focused. So you have a water and sewer board. The council just amended the language there. You want water or wastewater experience, so that's one of the boards that we've advertised. But we also have the town manager water advisory committee as well. So both of those, I'm looking for people to serve on either one of them, yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions or updates? I'll just say to wrap things up, before I get back into the agenda, I think that it was a good discussion this evening. I appreciate the town manager giving the update. I also appreciate the opportunity for us to talk further about this at a forum where we can talk about educating folks clearly in the future on what the plan is and interacting with folks, because that has been asked several times. Back and forth discussion. Maybe we can answer some questions. I hope that citizens and residents will take advantage of that. And the last thing I'll say to everybody here, and this has been my consistent plea as council president, is we all have the opportunity to get involved in town government, to make our government and Bridgewater a better place. It kills me to see people who post online saying they're moving to Bridgewater, they're coming to Bridgewater, they just accepted a job, and then there's comments underneath saying, don't come here, don't move to Bridgewater. It's just an awful feeling to see, right? And I want folks to know that 9 of us here and all of you in the audience live in our town, and we all have an opportunity to take a small part in making it better. So do that, take advantage of it, send an email, attend a meeting, speak at the meetings. There are plenty of opportunities for folks to do that, but give back to our town that we live in. And let's stop fighting each other over it, and let's come together and solve our own problems. Because again, I've said this before, nobody's coming to save us, right? We have to solve our own problems here in Bridgewater. And the water is the #1 priority, but as we've heard from folks this evening, there are also 1A priorities that we need to address as well too. So again, we're the only people that are gonna fix this, and if we spend less time fighting with each other and more time coming together as neighbors, as friends, to solve these problems, I think we'll be able to get somewhere. So I believe in it. That's why I'm sitting here in this role, and that's why I believe the 9 people up here are sitting here as well too. So I just want to thank residents for continuing to stay involved. And again, hopefully we'll get to a solution, and hopefully we'll continue to tackle this problem. So thank you all. We'll
Thank
move
you,
on.
President Murphy. Thank you.
All set.
We'll move on to discussion items. So we have 2 discussion items this evening. Several council members have asked for sort of updates on items or discuss certain items. The first one we'll take is counselor training. So for counselor training, I know a few of the new counselors have asked for this. This is something that we have done in the past. We've done both on-site trainings here in this council room. We've done it at BSU. We've had folks come in and talk about our charter and sort of how business runs. I think that was great. Last year, we offered an online training option for counselors to take advantage of through the ICMA. I don't believe anybody took advantage of that opportunity, but the town did pay a small fee to allow us to be able to sign up for that. And so there are several options out there, but opening up to discussions for folks if we'd like. Councilor Lindy.
So I have had the opportunity to go to Mass Municipal Association webinars. I know Councilor Hunt has as well, and I think maybe Mary as well. Those are free of charge. We're members of the Mass Municipal Association as counselors and members of the Mass Municipal Counselors Association. They are during the day. They're usually like a 12 o'clock to 1:30 type of thing, so that might not work for everybody that's working. But they are also recorded, and if you go as a counselor, they then send you the recording and the PowerPoint. So there was just one for libraries that was done that both Counselor Hunt and myself went to. I got the recording. I'll be glad to share it through the council clerk to everybody else so you can take a look at that, because I think it was very worthwhile. There was one today on legal, and there's just all sorts of stuff. One thing I would ask for, based on seeing some of those unfortunate comments that you were talking about today, about open meeting law, and I would like to formally ask this council to have the Attorney General's office come down from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to do an open meeting law seminar for us. Okay, it's free of charge. They do it. Councilor Hunt brought that up to me, I think, when she was town clerk, when I was first on the council. And we all have to take the ethics training, the state ethics test. You know, there's different trainings that are probably available through the state that we can do. And if we do other trainings, the thing that I'd like to see is I'd like to see it in this council chambers, recorded, so if a counselor can't make it, then it's available to that counselor. We had a couple of counselors, different times that I've had the training, that weren't able to make it. I think everybody can learn something new every day. If you've had 20 years of experience, if you've had 2 months of experience, learn something new every day.
I think that's a great option, Councilor Lindy. I don't know if you want to take that on and contact the Attorney General's office and maybe keep the town council clerk on those emails and the town manager.
Yep.
But if that's something that you're willing to do, I think that would be a great opportunity.
Sure.
Thank you. Anything else further on the training piece?
I'll throw in 2 cents on this. We did have council training last year. We talked about the charter and how to use the charter and things like that. It was an open meeting for everyone. I believe all the council did attend by the end, and I thought there were parts of it that were beneficial. So maybe there's an aspect of that training that we found was beneficial. We could maybe discuss that with the town manager and try to find what was beneficial and expand on those portions of it and try to leave some of the rest behind. But I know they did their best job to try to get through our charter. Our charter apparently has some unique components to it that are not common in other towns, so there was good explanations on that. But I do think some level of training for the council is useful in general. So whether it's Attorney General training, open meeting law training, I think would be a big benefit not only to the council but to the public to understand why we do some of the things we do the way we do them, like not having open debates on non-agenda items with the public, issues like that come up frequently, but there are actually restrictions on us from any governing body abusing their seats to have discussions on topics in meetings without public notice. So I think maybe there would be some value in something like that. That would be good.
Awesome. We'll move on to the next one, but just to tie that up, as a reminder, we spoke about the charter and the training, so this is a loose tie together. There is a charter committee meeting, review committee meeting this Thursday at 7 p.m. It'll be here in room 201, I believe, or maybe in here, Debbie. But there'll also be an online option for folks to log in and see that as well. And I'm assuming the meeting will be recorded and posted, and so anybody could access that. But they will meet for the first time this Thursday to start that process of the charter review. So moving on to the admin code, it was the next discussion. Councilor Spagone, I believe you asked for this to be put on the agenda.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So even in my first few weeks of being here, but also in my years of experience having gone to council meetings and, been a member of the Finance Committee as long as I have been, the reason why I asked for this to be brought on tonight is actually because a lot of residents have reached out to me or commented to me in various spaces about the degree of how long our meetings go and the amount of stuff that is on our agendas. I think it is inefficient for us to have so many items on even a single agenda and only meet twice a month. Now, I know under the previous form of government, the Board of Selectmen used to meet weekly, and in the summer they used to meet, I think, twice in July and I think once in August. But where we're a town council and we deal with a more in-depth level of legislation that comes before us, the amount of work that is done is significantly more than what a Board of Selectmen would handle. So I think that in the interest of having our meetings, one, have some level of brevity instead of going till 10, 11, 30 at night, and also to be sensitive to the residents who make every effort to come out here. And in fact, actually, I think since the meeting started, the crowd has unfortunately thinned out due to us having to have that executive session earlier. I think it behooves us to actually consider going to a weekly schedule. We can still meet on Tuesdays. I don't see a problem with that because that's traditionally been the night of the week where the executive/legislative branch would meet. And I think it would be beneficial, not just to us as a council, to allow us to have a more manageable workload, but also to the public who comes out here and wants to see government in action and also contribute to government in action. I think it would be in our best interest to actually go to 4 meetings per month as opposed to just 2. We can get a lot more done in 4 than we can in 2. And I think in that regard, the other part of it is the other reason why I asked for this to be put on the agenda is the experience with the 3-minute rule. I recognize that it serves a purpose in some capacities, especially if it's a public hearing or it's a question and answer session between maybe some type of advisor that's coming before the town to tell us about a study that they've done. I get that. But oftentimes it's been my experience as a resident getting up at that podium. Not everybody can be as composed and prepared when they get up there. People have nervousness sometimes. Sometimes they may not have all of their thoughts together at once. I think putting a 3-minute limit on somebody being able to speak deprives them of their First Amendment right to actually speak to their government, but also to actually give a cogent sentence and be comfortable in doing so. I can tell you right now, numerous times I felt an incredible amount of pressure trying to get up there to keep my thoughts composed and not go off track. So for the residents, I get that. I totally feel that and I totally understand that. And that's why I had it on here tonight as part of the admin code discussion, because I think in order for the residents to be able to speak to us and get their thoughts out clearly in a way that's going to be understandable not just for them, but for us as a council, we need to consider either removing that 3-minute limit or increasing that limit. I personally would prefer to see it be removed, but if it has to remain in place, then we at least increase the time frame. And that ties in well to the possibility of extending the amount of meetings that we have per month, because that allows them to speak and it allows us to get our work done in a reasonable amount of time. And the other thing that I was thinking about earlier today was perhaps if we shorten the time of our meetings, and I will finish, I think what we could do is if we have shorter council meetings but more frequent, we can have some of our subcommittee meetings prior to a council meeting and have more of them. So I think that's some ideas that I have had that I wanted to share, and I wanted to make sure folks knew at home that, you know, those were things that they told me that I wanted to share with you folks tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Spigot. Open it up to any questions, Councilor Lindy.
Mr. President, I agree with some of that. I personally don't think we should go on summer break and have 1 meeting a month. I think the issues that we're dealing with in this town are too important to just meet once a month. We do have one committee that meets before the council meeting, and that's Budget and Finance. But there are 2 other Tuesdays a month that the council doesn't meet that could be committee meetings. When I signed up for this and I filled out my availability form to teach at Massasoit, I left Tuesday nights off. There's a monetary cost to that. I decided, and of course the voters rejected us getting any kind of compensation, so I gave up pretty much exactly the amount of money that we would have been paid. But I signed up for Tuesday nights. Do I want them 4 Tuesday nights in a row? No, I do not. 2, though, is not a problem with effective committees working on the other Tuesday nights, okay? I believe that most of the meetings of the council should be when the public can attend them. And what I mean by that is I'm not a fan of 10 a.m. meetings or 4 p.m. meetings. I think most of the public that aren't retired work from 9 to 5, and some of them work in Boston. I know you yourself, when you chaired Budget and Finance, it was a stretch to get back from Cambridge to conduct a Budget and Finance meeting. So I think we should look at options. As for the 3-minute rule, okay, let's keep in mind that there are other councils elsewhere that don't have any public comment. Okay, so I think we should look at options. As for the 3-minute rule, okay, let's keep in mind that there are other councils elsewhere that don't have any public comment. Okay, so I think we should look at options. As for the 3-minute rule, okay, let's keep in mind that there are other councils elsewhere that don't have any public comment. The city of Brockton that I lived in for 58 years, the council has no public comment, zero, nothing. The only time they can comment is on the budget hearing, which is coming up. That's it, the whole year. I think that's a horrible practice. Their finance committee, which is the committee of the whole, all 11 councilors that Brockton does, you have to be invited to appear. But I went to Middleborough to that select board meeting. I watched people get interrupted in between. I don't think that's going to be effective for town government here to open it up. The school committee here in town has a 12-minute time limit and a 24-minute time limit. Occasionally, they waive it on a major issue like the budget, but generally they don't. So something in between what Councilor Spagone talked and what we have now might be a better way to go. It's something we should look at and explore. I'm not looking to have extra meetings, but I signed up for Tuesdays, and I don't mind meeting twice in July and twice in August, or at least twice in July and once in August. Maybe we find out when everyone's vacations are, if people have vacations, and look at that. Just my 2 cents.
I'd like to, just recommend maybe we could put a cap on how much Councilor Lindy speaks on behalf of, on the town council meetings, maybe like a 3-minute, I'm just kidding. Someone over there got it. So my recommendation for this would be, maybe we could limit the people that give a presentation to us, like their amount of time. Like say, hey, listen, you have 30 minutes to give this presentation. So, we've sat through 2 back-to-back presentations with anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half to almost 2 hours. But prior to them coming to brief us, they say, all right, listen, you have 30 minutes to give us X amount. And then we set that standard. And then from there, the preponderance of the time is going to be used for us for questioning that presentation, that presenter, for us to really facilitate conversation and get the information that we need to make decisions. That's my recommendation. Just, cap them at 30. Thank you.
Councilor Kennedy?
I know, Mr. President, you and I have gone back and forth on this quite a bit, trying to work on resolutions, ordinances to change a min code, to try to give the public more of a voice during meetings. And some of the concerns I voiced was and I am a First Amendment proponent, for sure. But when you open up the meeting without any limitations, it provides anyone to come up and give as long of a presentation on any particular item they feel is important to them, to the entire council. And there is a point where it does disrupt the actual business that we need to get done during these meetings. I do agree that the meetings are too long. There are different ways to kind of go after and attack that. I do think lining, and I know that there's an attempt to do this, even though it may be difficult to believe, but not loading our agendas when we have presentations. I do think that presenters need to understand that there needs to be a bit of a time limit on the presentations themselves. That would be through the town manager. But the residents do get 3 in the beginning and 3 in the end, and a discussion that has taken place is trying to open up some more conversations with residents through hearings and doing more hearings so that there's more involvement from the residents. I don't think taking the cap off is a particularly good idea, because it's going to increase the meeting length itself. And as far as doing more meetings, we have the ability to call special meetings when needed to get through business and get through specific business. So I think that if we need to, we can use that. We have a very long thing tonight, so I'm going to just cut this short, but that's pretty much where I stand on it.
Councilor Hahn?
Yes, just to take 1 minute. I think it's good that we have the standards that we have. I think the 3 minutes is good. Most people can think about what they want to say, come with it written out, know that it's timed. And I've noticed this evening that when people go over the 3 minutes, you let them. So if that's important, if they're saying something that really needs to continue on, I think that's perfectly fine. And so I appreciate that you did that tonight.
Don't let that become a regular thing. Anybody else? Councilor Perry?
Yes, again, I agree with what Mr. Kennedy was saying. I do think having a time frame involved is an important situation, so people just don't get carried away with their comments. And again, it's up to the council president to, give a little bit of laxity to, depending on the presentation of what's being spoken to. And I know I've done it as prior president. I know you did it this evening. So I think we're going in a good direction in that regard. As far as number of meetings, again, it's on the council president to control the agenda, so to speak. So again, when there's meetings with 2 or 3 presentations, that might be problematic. I would suggest keeping it to 1 per meeting. Depending on what else is on the rest of the agenda. Again, trying to have that in mind when you're looking at the time frame of things. And as was mentioned, if there's extra business that needs to be done, an extra meeting here or there is usually scheduled to help address that. I think we do the every 2 weeks at this point in time, because many times between advertising or other situations, we need that 14-day window in order to get a certain amount of business done. So we might go from full schedules every other week, but for a weekly meeting, there might not be enough to address on a weekly basis. So, and to this point, I feel that we're set up appropriately, and then if we need an extra meeting here or there, then we'll schedule accordingly. But right now, I think we're set up every 2 weeks is sufficient. But that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not for the 4 weeks. As it is, we get our agenda on Friday. That's a lot of homework to do. I mean, I spend a lot of time on looking at these, and, sometimes I go to the town manager, one of the departments, to understand more fully. So I need that week to, really dig in. And our rules and procedures, I mean, you can't have that before town council. Being on that, that's a lot of work. That has a detailed, as finance, I mean, sometimes we have to bring it to 5:30 or 5 o'clock. And if residents want to know extra stuff, I mean, as I watch planning and zoning, they can watch or come to the finance or the rules and procedures to understand a little bit more. But I need that extra time. So, I don't mind having during the summer, but not 4 weeks. It's too much.
Anything else? Okay, great discussion. We'll move on. To K, committee reports. Any committee reports this evening? Councilor McGrath?
You want me to go, and will you bring them up?
The budget and finance?
All right,
Yeah,
yes.
we'll do them individually. Okay, moving on to legislation for action. We'll start with Order O, FY 26-065, acceptance of grants, student awareness, fire education. I will defer to the town manager for a quick update.
I think as we mentioned when we initially introduced this is an annual grant that the town has received. It allows for some civic education for our youth as well as seniors, and it's a little bit over $10,000, so we appreciate the the grant.
Any questions from councilors? I'll take a motion first.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Lindy. Any discussion?
Just a note that budget and finance
Yep, I was
passed
gonna
it.
do that right after.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, you go ahead. So Finance Committee voted 6-0
Yeah.
to pass this, and then Budget and Finance discussed this
It's
this evening.
3-0.
Voted 3-0 to pass. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Moving on to Order O, FY 26-066, transfer order, capital leasing obligations. I will take a motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Spagone. Any discussion regarding this item? Okay, and just for the record, Finance Committee voted 6-0 to approve, and Budget and Finance, Councilor McGrath?
3-0.
Voted 3-0
To
to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. 9-0. Order O, FY 26-067, FY 27 water rates. I will take a motion.
Moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Perry. Any discussion? It was voted 6-0 by Finance Committee, and then Budget and Finance. Councilor
3-0
McGrath.
approved.
3-0. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion passes 8-1. Order OFY 26-068, FY 27 sewer rates. I will take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Perry and seconded by Councilor Lindy. I do have a amendment to make to this order. So at the bottom of the order itself, where it lists sewer usage by tier, I'm going to change tier 2. Tier 2 should read 15 to 30 CCF, not 15 to 100. And tier 3 should read 30 plus CCF, not 100 plus.
Second.
So that amendment has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
9-0. And then we will go back to the motion itself. Any other additional discussion or questions? Seeing none, it was again voted 6-0. I don't know if I mentioned that. Budget and Finance voted
3-0 approved.
0. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
8-1 passes. Order OFY 26-069, Bridgewater Police Relief Association. For this, I will defer to the town manager.
As the council remembers, we did reach a collective bargaining agreement that we funded for our police officers. This was part of the retro calculation that wasn't included with that initial appropriation. So there's nothing additional in terms of collective bargaining, but we just missed this appropriation.
Okay, and I will take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Councilor Lindy, seconded by Councilor Perry for discussion. Any discussion? Again, was voted 6-0 by Finance Committee, and then Councilor McGrath, Budget and Finance,
3-0 approved.
for 3-0. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to Order OFY 26-070, rescind Plymouth Street Wells Project Loan Order. We'll defer to the town manager.
Look at both these orders, FY 26-070 and 071 together. However, 070 rescinds an appropriation, the loan authorization that was approved May 20th, 2025, which was $7.4 million for Wells 10A and 10B to on Plymouth Street and getting that new transmission main to High Street water treatment plant. Reason why we're rescinding that is because obviously the project has shifted. We're building a new permanent treatment plant directly at the well site, so where we can treat it for iron, manganese, as well as PFAS. In addition to that, well, I'm going to talk about both orders just in case. In addition to that, it allows for us to address water main improvements as well as Vernon Street well development. So it's about additional $1.1 million that we're asking for the new loan authorization. So we rescind the other, the one that was passed in May of 2025, and we put a new authorization for $8.5 million.
Thank you. And just for the record, Finance Committee voted 6-0 to recommend in Budget and Finance.
3-0 approved.
Okay, I will take a motion.
So moved. Second.
Made by Councilor Spagone, seconded by Councilor Perry for discussion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to Order OFY 26-071, Loan Order, Water Systems Improvement. Town Manager just spoke to this. Anything additional?
No, one thing that I did mention in the Budget and Finance tonight that I'll say as well is, although we're putting this loan authorization for $8.5 million, one, we know we got a $2 million grant. We're going to be as aggressive as possible applying for additional grants, whether it's SRF loan funding, clean water, PFAS grants, loan authorization, loan opportunities. We're looking at a variety of things. For example, we applied for one-stop shop grants for Vernon Street, for water redevelopment, et cetera. So we're going to be as aggressive as possible applying for additional offsets, so these costs aren't just borne by the users. And we've met at the federal level as well as our state delegation as well for fighting for earmarks and grants for the town.
Thank you. I will take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Perry, seconded by Councilor Ellenberg. Any discussion? What about it? Oh, yeah, we're referring to advertising.
Okay.
Sorry, excuse me. Any discussion? I will just say I appreciate the town manager giving an update and searching for any possible revenue we can take to help offset some of these costs. I know we've discussed at length of different options, working with our state reps who've been present at the meetings, working with federal delegations as much as we can, staying in touch with the governor's office as well. So I just wanted to thank you for seeking every alternative source we can for revenue, because clearly, as folks have spoken about this evening, revenue in the town is an issue. So anything we can do to shift the burden from our ratepayers to any other option is great. And then I do know that we are in compliance with MBTA, and we have been able to apply for those grants. Is that correct?
Yes, those were the grants that I was mentioning, particularly like One Stop.
Awesome. So because we are in compliance, we're able to get those funds or be at the table to apply for those funds, which is important, because without those funds, we would then shift the ratepayers, the cost to the ratepayers. There's no other way to pay for that. So, any other comments, discussions? Okay, we have a motion and a second, so I will take all those in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that measure has been referred to advertising. Moving on to Resolution R FY 26-015, exploration of additional water sources. This measure was not referred to committee and 14 days have elapsed, and so we will consider this resolution. Take a motion.
Moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Spagone. Any discussion? Nothing?
Thank you for.
You don't have to thank me.
Thank you for putting this together. I agree with it. I think it's a good thing that we express to the town manager that we would like these avenues taken. But I think it's a good resolution. So thank you for putting it together.
And let me just speak again and say to folks and assure folks that all options to improve our water situation will be explored, all of them. So I just want to assure folks that. And I know the town manager is on the same page and all 9 councilors on the same page, but we will explore every option. So you have that commitment from me, and I'm sure you have that commitment from the other 9 councilors sitting up here as well, too. All right, I will take a motion to approve, a vote to approve.
So
All those in
moved.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Passes 9-0. Okay, moving on. We have no old business, but moving on to new business. Order OFY 26-072, Water Enterprise Fund Year-End Budget Transfer. We will be referring this to Budget and Finance Committee, but I will defer to the town manager.
So a variety of orders going before you as we work to end the fiscal year. In terms of the Water Enterprise Fund, as the council remember, we had a water and wastewater superintendent that was combined in one position that was split 50-50. We now, in each enterprise, we have a direct water superintendent and we have a sewer superintendent. So those are some of the costs that we have to address in the budget. So it's shifting from a retained earnings to address some of those contractual obligations and the shift in personnel.
Thank you. I will take a motion to refer to Budget and Finance and
Motion.
Finance Committee.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Lindy, seconded by Councilor Spagone. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to Order OFY 26-073, Sewer Enterprise End of the Year Budget Transfer. We'll defer to the town manager.
Same situation for sewer. Well, obviously, we have a sewer superintendent as well. These are the contractual obligations of having those new superintendents full-time in their respective enterprise funds.
Thank you very much. I will take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Councilor Spagone, seconded by Councilor Hunt. Any discussion? Seeing none, again, we will vote to refer this to Budget and Finance Committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-0. Order OFY 26-074, Transfer Station Enterprise Fund End Year Budget Transfer. Defer to the town manager.
Yep, this transfer meets the end of year revenue required to ensure the transfer station closes out its books successfully. We'll note that there was a sort of mid-year adjustment in the rates that we were charging our contractors. So it's essentially a lag. We're going to review this in August, but essentially it's a lag in revenue that we received. So we're transferring money from our retained earnings to close out the year. We'll look at it in the new fiscal year, but essentially it gives us the flexibility not to raise rates at the moment. We'll evaluate, make sure that our rates are where they need to be, and if it does require change, we'll be able to come in the new fiscal year and address it with the council.
Thank you very much. I will take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Spagone, seconded by Councilor Lindy. Any discussion?
I have something, Mr. President. I brought this up before, going to the transfer, they have a lot of metals there, and we don't sell them. And now we have a billboard up in the center of town that's we'll say they pay cash for copper, loom, brass, wire, steel. We should be selling this stuff to make more money for our transfer, because we're always not equaling out there, and I think we should start looking into that.
Thank you, Councilor McGrath. Anything additional? Okay, again, this is being referred to Budget and Finance Committee. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-0. Moving on to Order O FY 26-075, General Fund End of the Year Transfers. We'll defer to the Town Manager.
So this is a variety of transfers for various departments in the town. You'll notice two charts. One is where transfers of funds are being made from the relevant departments, relevant lines to other departments to just close out our books. For example, I'll say the town manager's line, for example. We had temporary help for the executive assistant role, where we had a budgeted position where we did charge that in professional and technical services line. So we're moving the savings that we had in our salary line to adjust for the expenses line. So that's a lot of what's going on here. It's closing out the fiscal year end for these various departments. I know obviously finance and budget and finance, we can talk specifically the lines further.
Thank you very much. I'll take a motion to refer.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Councilor Spigot, second by Councilor Lindy. Any discussion? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-0. Moving on to Order O FY 26-076, Contractual Buyouts. Refer to the Town Manager.
So these are a transfer from our employee liability fund. It's associated with contractual buyout obligations based on the agreements that we have with relevant employees. So it's salaries in the CED line, the IT line, as well as the Council on Aging. Yeah.
Take a motion to refer to Budget and Finance Committee.
So moved.
Made by Councilor Spigot.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Lindy. Any discussion? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to Order O FY 26-077, Transfer Order, Sewer Capital Fund Transfer. Refer to the Town Manager.
This is a transfer in order to purchase a new generator for the sewer pump station. So this is coming from our retained earnings.
And I will take a motion to refer to Budget and Finance Committee and Finance.
So
Committee.
moved.
Second.
By Councilor Spigot, seconded by Councilor Hunt. Any discussion? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Budget Order O FY 27-006, CPA Reserve Accounts, FY 27. I will refer to the Town Manager.
I'll have our finance director do this. This is part of the annual process for CPC. Putting her on the spot a little bit, but I did know we heard from Gina a little bit earlier. This is part of an annual process setting the budget for CPC for this upcoming fiscal year.
Good evening, councilors.
Evening.
I may have summarized it enough. I don't know if you have any questions. There you go.
What he said. Thank you. So this order is recommended, comes before you, recommended by the CPC committee, who Gina and Carlton are here. They could explain it probably way better than I can, but this is to recommend the annual budget for fiscal '27 using the CPA reserve accounts.
Thank you. I'll take a motion from the councilor.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Councilor Lindy, seconded by Councilor Spigot. Any discussion? Again, this will be referred to Budget and Finance Committee for further. Yeah.
I have one question while you're up there, Laurie. The Academy building, how much more do we have to pay on that?
Ooh, let me
Because,
see.
I mean, that's a high interest, so there's a lot more left.
Let me just look here. I think.
I mean, the
it's
principal, yeah.
oh, it's not on here. Yeah, 10 more years, I think.
2036.
Yep.
And that's for just the roof? Or was it
No,
other
this is
stuff?
for this whole building, the
Oh, the whole
outside,
building.
yeah.
Okay.
There is a general fund payment on the academy building insides that weren't covered by the initial CPA fund, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9-0. Moving on, ordinance D FY 26-016, proposed zoning ordinance amendment, high-intensity data centers. I will refer to myself. I put this together as a zoning ordinance. I know many folks have seen probably the high data centers going in nationwide. They are a big drain on our resources, and so in order for us to protect ourselves in Bridgewater and protect our resources, put together this ordinance to ensure that these are not brought here to Bridgewater. And so this will be referred to the Planning Board and CEDC. I will take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Councilor Spigot, seconded by Councilor Perry. Any discussion?
I'd like to make a discussion.
Sure.
President Murphy, I think this is an excellent step in the right direction. I fully support this as, I think this is really important. We've started to see this, some of these issues pop up across the country. I've spoken to one selectman. I just started to briefly introduce myself via email about, from the town of Mansfield. So the town of Mansfield was the first town in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to ban AI data centers. And I fully support that ban. I think we should be as aggressive as possible with this. But I also would like us to look at the town of Mansfield and see how they did it and look at their legislation as well. We know it's successful in that town, and I think we could really look at that town's legislation as a template for ours.
Thank you.
I've also looked, and there's like 24 states, and I don't know if they're completely, but they're slowing them down by putting that they can't come in for like 2 years. So I don't know if you can actually block it. I hadn't seen any block, but they've written up where they won't allow it for a year or two to kind of like slow it down. Because a lot of, even Franklin has it, which I was surprised. They have a data center there. So I'm glad you did it.
Thank you. Councilor
I
Kennedy?
generally agree with this type of thing. I think that placing guardrails on it is the right option. The issue surrounding the data centers right now, in my opinion, seems to be water usage and electrical demand, which affects the local town or county that they're being placed in. So I think having guardrails is a good place to start, because that may shift in the future, and maybe there is something in the future that can get built in Bridgewater that will not put a huge demand on our infrastructure, but we can collect tax revenue for. So I don't think an outright ban is the best way forward, and I think putting some guardrails there that can be adjusted at a later date if needed to bring in additional tax revenue for something that doesn't really affect schools or emergency services or anything is a good way to go. So thanks for putting it together.
Of course. Any additional questions? Councilor Lindy?
I just want to thank you for bringing this forward, and I do agree with Councilor Trocchio. I think we should look at another town that's already done this and see why replicate the wheel if we can find something that's been successful.
And I am thankful that we will be referring to Planning Board and CEDC. I have a background in education and not data center, so I hope they can weigh in and do exactly what you had mentioned as well, too. So with that, I already took a motion, so we will take a motion to approve to refer that to Planning Board and CEDC. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moving on to Resolution R FY 26-016, Library Emergency Allocation of Resources Now Resolution. I will defer to Councilor Spigot.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you said, the name of the resolution, I call it the LEARN resolution. You'll notice sometimes I'll actually come up with abbreviations, but that aside, the reason I came up with this resolution, one, it's one of my first, so that's an achievement in and of itself, I guess. I had heard from many residents in town their concerns about the library, and I wanted to speak to their concerns and try to offer up the most broad resolution that I could. And I did this in a vacuum, unfortunately. I did not have anybody helping me with this. In fact, actually, if you look at the materials right now compared to my colleagues' resolution, yes, it is much shorter and a little bit more concise. His is definitely a lot lengthier and has a lot more stipulations to it. You'll notice it basically looks like it's cut and pasted from a Word document. This is actually the exact same format that it was when I sent it to the council clerk to be reviewed. I appreciate the help on that, Deborah. So thank you. But the reason why I offered this resolution up now is because I wanted to make sure that we were dealing with the immediacy of the now on other issues. Water is a big issue, but the library is one of our most important cultural and community resources. And I felt like this was a good step in that direction to do that. To that point, having seen that Councilor Lindy did submit a resolution a few hours after I did mine, I would certainly be at this point supportive of meshing our two resolutions together in a manner of teamwork and cooperation. And as a result, I would be more than happy to, however we can do this in the committee process, to bind the two as one singular resolution, and I would be more than happy to co-sponsor.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm wrong on this, so I'll defer to council, but maybe we withdraw one of these and then we agree to amend another. That's not an option. We can also vote it, but let's
Maybe we should ask the town attorney that one.
let's take a motion first and then we will have discussion on it. So let's do that first, just for an order here. So I'll take a motion
So moved?
to approve the resolution, to keep it at council level, excuse me. Councilor Spagone made the motion to keep it at council.
I'll
Do I have a
second it.
second? Seconded by Councilor Lindy.
Withdraw it.
Okay, so now for discussion. Any discussion for this resolution?
I think we have two of the same, very similar resolutions. It may be worthwhile to postpone these to the following meeting or, postpone them to the following meeting, give these counselors a reasonable chance to get together collectively to view both of these, and if they would like to mesh them together. I don't believe we can mesh two separate agenda items that both need to hold votes together simultaneously without doing a very large overhaul on one of them to incorporate information. So I think for both of these, that may be the appropriate move here, in my opinion, is to postpone both of them, allow that time to take place, and then come back with one with 3 council members on it, if that's what they choose to do.
Is that a motion or just a comment?
It's just a comment at the moment.
Okay. Council Lindy.
I think the urgency is now. I
Yes.
think we should consider withdrawing one with the promise that we will mesh them together for the next meeting. I think we need to act on this because the clock is ticking with the state certification. So,
July 1st.
Any additional comments? Councilor
Yes, I
Ellenberg?
think that we absolutely need to act on this. And July 1st is when the fiscal year starts, and so we really have very little time for our town manager to find funds in whatever fund is available to keep our library certified.
Councilor Ellenberg, if I could just ask from a councilor standpoint, what do you mean by find funds? Where do we find the funds?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean by find the funds?
Well, we have stabilization, which we don't want to touch. We have other funds as well, but I believe we need $60,000 to get the library able to be certified again with its hours.
Let's focus.
I would say, I think my understanding of that would be that we as a council have the ability to appropriate the funds. I don't know,
Yes.
but certainly asking the town manager to look at all options, I think is what we're trying to do. I was just asking for clarification, so I appreciate that. Thank you. Any other comments?
I'd like to just make a quick comment.
Let me go to Councilor Perry first.
Oh, no problem. Just by Council Spagone's own comments, I think, her resolution's a little bit more simplistic, it's a little bit more detail in the other resolution. So if we're looking to expedite this situation, I would suggest that maybe Council Spagone pull hers back, let the other one go through, so at least have just one to work with, and then we can certainly edit if there's any particular comments, and hers that she'd like to see move forward into the other document would probably help expedite the situation.
Okay, go to Councilor Trocchio, McGrath, Lindy.
Dr. Perry took the words right out of my mouth. I agree completely.
Okay, Councilor McGrath.
Oh, can I discuss this? I mean, we're having a discussion on this one right now? We're not
Yes.
amending? Okay.
Yes.
So I know the library is important to our community, and I, for one, enjoy it. However, if we're going to fund a department, I think it would be getting back to the senior citizens, because cutting the senior citizens' hours can be life-threatening. Because some of our senior citizens live alone. They depend on the senior center for companionship, meals, and support from the outreach coordinator. Isolation and loneliness is damaging to them, but the director of our senior center, thank God she knows our seniors, so she decided to develop a plan so that it wouldn't be closed a day. It's open each day but short. So I would suggest that the director of the library also considers his patrons and opens it up every day but short hours. And as a town council and a member of the Budget and Finance Committee, I have seen the difficult decisions that our town manager has to make to not only budget our budget, but to keep reserves so the town's paying low interest on its loans while having reserve cash for emergencies, such as the one we just had is the blizzard, which was very expensive. Therefore, I think we should leave the budget as it is. It's difficult for everybody, and do the best that we can with what we have.
Thank you, Council McGrath. Council Lindy?
I want to speak when it comes up to my motion, so I don't want to talk right now. I think I'm going to defer.
Okay. Council Ellenberg, and then I'll go to Council Kennedy.
Yes, I believe the certification requires a certain number of hours, and therefore, to cut the days shorter, as you are suggesting, like the senior center, it will not work for the library.
Councilor Kennedy?
Just a point of information, to clarify here, the councilors that have submitted two separate agenda items on the same topic, is there any level of agreement between the three of you as to what you would like to see move forward with your agenda items?
I would like to see us amend our order with Councilor Spagone's language when we discuss this and vote on it going forward.
Okay, I don't hear any motions or anything, so we'll go to vote on
Motion
it.
to amend? Any motion to amend?
No, just a motion.
I don't hear any, so what we're going to do is vote on the resolution as is, as a town council, and we'll take it at that. So,
Can I add just one thing? The only reason I didn't bring up the decertification is because Representative Gallagher says very high unlikely. We hasn't said it, and it is, and the right now voting, the campaign, and he said that it's very unlikely, and that where Governor Healy is running again, it's most unlikely that they would defund many towns that are having trouble with their budget.
okay, thank you, Council McGrath. Council
I have to respectfully disagree on that. I've spoken to the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, the State Aid Office. I've spoken to the library director. I had originally wanted him here tonight to give all 9 of us all of that information because it's over. The minute we don't open for those amount of hours, they're done with us. There is no waiver. There is no appeal. That's what I was going to say later in my remarks.
Okay, so we're going to vote on this resolution as is. This is what the town council, Councilman Spagone has put forward. And so let's do a roll call vote on resolution FY 26016.
Mr. President, point of information. If I just rescind this altogether, I can just ask Councilor Lindy to integrate the language that I have in my resolution to an amended version of his, correct?
Correct.
All right. Then I would say, before you take that roll call vote, I would make the motion that we rescind my proposal in the hopes that it will be integrated into Councilor Lindy's resolution when we move forward.
Second.
Now, I need to ask council because I've asked before if we could rescind these and I was told no, so.
You can withdraw.
We are allowed to rescind?
Withdraw.
Withdraw.
Yeah, so the party that introduced can withdraw unless there's an objection, and then you can move forward with a vote to withdraw. But assuming there's no objection, it's assumed it's unanimous consent, so they can withdraw.
Then, in that regard, then, to be clear with the language, I ask that we withdraw the legislation so that it can be integrated into Councilor Lindy's.
Okay.
Second.
So motion, you said we
just-
don't need a
No,
motion, it's just
as
withdraw.
long as there's no objection stated, then.
Okay, perfect. We'll move on to resolution FY 26017, resolution regarding full funding of the Bridgewater Public Library budget. I will refer to Councilor Lindy and then Councilor Trocchio for any comments on this.
Okay. And in the spirit of cooperation and working together, I will most certainly pledge my word to integrate language into our resolution. So I just wanted to say in 3 minutes or less, because I'm used to talking on sound bites, that throughout my life I have been a tremendous library supporter, getting my first library card when I could write my name many, many years ago. My first real job was at age 15 as a library page, one of the people that fetched books and materials at the library that had closed stacks. It began my love for libraries. Today, nearly 50 years later, I am still in love with libraries, and now I'm fighting again for their very existence. You see, a library isn't a luxury, it is the heart of our community. Andrew Carnegie, who donated tons of money for many libraries, once said, "A library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people. It is a never-failing spring in the desert." Our library, the Bridgewater Public Library, is our community center. It is a place where everyone, young and old, rich and poor, educated and undereducated, can go to learn, grow, and feel welcome. Our library has been open for a total of 59 hours each week, 3 hours shy of full state certification. We have been granted a partial state waiver this year. The new proposed hours with town budget cuts will be 14.5 hours less with the library closed Fridays and Saturdays. You have heard me reject the closure of the library on Saturdays when most taxpayers and residents can use the library easier. With Fridays and an additional loss of 8 more hours, I can now say it is deplorable. Strong language, I know. However, it will lead to full decertification by the State Board of Library Commissioners. You see, anything less than the current hours will not even qualify us to be considered for a waiver. There is also no appeals process. That's it, done. There is no other department in town that requires this level of certification. We will lose approximately $80,000 in state aid and making it basically a double cut. I am urging the town manager to look into our free cash, our reserves, or other sources to fully fund the library to restore the hours. We did that with the school department and took money out of a certain account and put it back. At a recent Friends of the Library meeting, 2 wonderful residents, a couple, Mr. Shea and his wife, donated $1,000 to the group for staffing. We told him he couldn't do that. That would have to go into an account, be accepted as a gift, and then the other people would have to, do likewise. The Friends Group is a 501c3 nonprofit, but they can't fund salaries. If somehow people donated to a fund, it may be possible to send a gift to the town. We have a duly elected Board of Trustees, a Friends of the Library group, and many members of the public that support and rely on our library. I have brought forth this resolution with Councilor Tim Trocchio to join me as a co-sponsor. Our resolution seeks to find a way to resolve this situation before it is too late. I truly believe we can fund an appropriation of maybe under $100,000 somewhere in our town budget to avoid decertification and keep our library doors open to our community. Failure to do this will result in our library patrons being ostracized by the other neighboring communities. We will not be able to obtain any books or materials, as Trustee Sarno said, including electronic ones from Libby or Hoopla in the entire sales network. Bridgewater patrons will be limited to just what Bridgewater owns for materials. Our resolution is comprehensive and asks our town manager to come up with a strategy to solve this problem. Councilor Spagone has generously offered to work together to combine the two, and I will be glad to do that. I want everyone to remember, again, that no other town department is required to have this level of certification just to survive and be certified. The price to be paid is simple. Maintain minimum hours and appropriate the amount of money required to fund the library, or lose hours, certification, and state aid of approximately $80,000. This is my cause. I've been talking about it. People are probably sick of hearing me talk about it. I hope to make it everyone's cause. I'm asking residents to come to our next meeting on June 16th at 7 and continue to speak up about this issue. We appreciate your caring about our library and your support of it. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Council President. Thank you very much, Councilor Lindy. Councilor Spagone, thank you. Councilor Ellenberg, thank you. I think this is something everyone on this council, hopefully on this council, can zealously advocate for, and hopefully we can work towards trying to find something and letting our residents know that we hear and we experience the same things that you do. We go to the same libraries, we do the same stuff. Thank you to Janet Hansen for telling that story. That was impactful. People have an attachment to this building. They love this building. They have memories in this building. It's not just a building. It has spirit to it. So in early March, I spoke against the cuts to the library and the importance of the library. During my candidate quarter, I spoke against the cuts to the library and the importance of it. Today, we have an opportunity as a council to do the right thing for our community. Section 12, subsection B of our own charter states, the Bridgewater Public Library operates pursuant to Mass General Law, Section 78, and Article 3 of the town charter, and is charged with ensuring that members of the Bridgewater community have the right and means to free and open access of information and ideas. Our current library days and hours of operation, I would argue, infringes on the community's right and means to free and open access to information and ideas because it substantially limits the amount of time children and families can use the library. My wife and I checked out the library the other day. The second floor was awesome. We have a little baby boy. I'm so excited for him to see the library. That place was buzzing. If you have kids, check it out. I mean, I was really impressed with the amount of people that were using it. The library days of operation have been reduced from Monday to Saturday. Now we're looking at hours of operation only through Monday through Thursday. That is a substantial reduction on days where families have time to actually use the library and the services it offers. Today, Councilor Lindy is sponsoring a resolution with the overall intent to restore the full operation of the library back to Monday and Saturday. I'm glad to be joining the councilor and co-sponsoring this resolution. He's been a broken record. He's been saying the same thing for well over 6 months. I'm getting tired of hearing him talk about the library. Let's solve this thing. This resolution is led by a counselor who knows the intricacies of the functionality of a library. He served on a library board of trustees for over 25 years, and 8 of those years he served as the president of the board of trustees. There is experience here to lead this charge. Our resolution has support from members of the board of trustees, friends of the library, and private citizens because it asks the town manager to report an analysis to the council to help us make decisions in this matter. Let's hear it. Let's hear about the numbers. Let's hear about what people are saying. Let's bring this conversation public. The funding the library is imperative because if we do not meet the state standards, as Councilor Lindy just said, we will no longer be able to be part of the SAIL network, which allows residents to regionally use other libraries. We will lose that matching state funding in its entirety, whereas no other department will suffer as severely as our library losing its accreditation. I ask the council to support Councilor Lindy's resolution. The public has made it loud and clear that they want an open library and available more than just Mondays through Thursday. I ask that the residents remain engaged and continue to email us about the importance of the library. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'll take a motion.
Could I ask one thing?
We're going to take a motion, then we're going to have a discussion first,
Oh,
if that's
okay.
okay with you.
Okay.
We're going to refer to Budget and Finance Committee as an option, and so I will take a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second.
For discussion, I would just think similarly, we would usually keep this at a council level.
Yeah.
We can also do that. I don't know if it's because it pertained to finances, that's why it was being...
But there's no number attached to it.
Sure, I mean, we can make the motion to retain here, too, if that works for you.
I'm going to
Somebody
make
can
the
that motion.
motion to retain.
Point of order,
Motion-
the previous has a first and a second, so that needs to be rescinded prior to a new motion
I'll
being
withdraw my
made.
motion.
Thank you, Council Kennedy. Motion's been withdrawn. So I will take a new motion.
Motion to keep it council level.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Lindy, seconded by Councilor Spagone for discussion. Councilor Hunt, you had a question?
Okay. Yes, my question was to the town manager. If there's any way that we can see in the money that exists to do full funding of the library?
You know, obviously we'll see how the council discussed the resolution. I know what I intended to do, and I communicated this to Councilor Lindy, and I'll communicate to council. I'll have our library director talk to you about the intricacies of what the next fiscal year looks like. I think it's important to hear directly from him, and I'll see how the resolution goes. I'll look with my team. I've had some thoughts already previous about, and I'll communicate with that after you guys take a resolution. But I will have Jed available at the next council meeting to talk about it.
Any additional comments, questions? Councilor Kennedy?
I mean, I think the majority of us support an open library. My family uses the library also. I think we all just voted on a budget that was a very tough budget, and we don't have a lot of money. So my biggest concern with this is if either of you have any ideas as to what other departments we take money from, or if you're prioritizing stabilization funds. I mean, what is the plan here? Because this is going to send this to the town manager, who's going to come back with something, but I didn't know if you guys had anything in mind as to what you're looking to do with that funding.
I can answer, and I alluded to that in my remarks. I think when we took some money out of some kind of a stabilization fund, I'm not exactly sure where it was, and for the schools, and then we put it back in that stabilization fund. That's one avenue, but I'm asking him for his recommendation. I've gotten a lot of comments from people that we voted the budget too fast and we should have given it another 2 weeks to do it. And people were disappointed that we approved the budget. I think I voted reluctantly to approve the budget because of the library cut. I just want to give the town manager the flexibility. And like I said, I want the library director to be able to talk to us about this. I don't exactly know where we can get it from, but you know, we do have free cash. Free cash doesn't get certified till November. I'm not the budget expert. I'm still learning on the budget.
Councilor Perry?
Yeah, just to address that, you know, with our current budget resolution, we voted to reduce the amount of free cash coming back to the town in order to provide more funds for schools and other situations. So with that, we still have a very tight budget. So again, similar to Councilor Kennedy's comments, I am concerned as well as, you know, where is this funding coming from? It's certainly not great policy to take it from stabilization and then to pull money, you know, to put money back. We don't know if we're going to have that free cash at the end of the following year, which we had when we did the school situation from free cash. So I'm concerned about going that route and be reluctant to go to that route. I'm also concerned that, as mentioned, you know, if we need $60,000 for the library, from what other department are we taking that from? Literally, that could cost somebody a job. Or some, you know, I'm just looking through the numbers and I'm trying to figure out where exactly it's coming from. I'm also, you know, I would love to make sure we have the money to keep this library open, but we've taken, you know, 11% cuts across the board, across all of town government. So it's a difficult ask. I'm gonna, you know, certainly put that in the hands of the town manager to take a look. I don't know what he's gonna be able to come back with, but I'm going to be very reluctant to take it from a stabilization account. But I would, you know, support the, you know, resolution, let the town manager look at it and see what he can bring back to us.
We're going to go to Councilor McGrath, Trocchio, and then Lindy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to address something that Council Lindy brought up with the budget, since I was on the Finance and Budget Committee. For the FY 2027 budget, we received it on April 17th. The Council and the Finance Committee had 45 days. We had 45 days, and we must have met almost every week. And we met with the finance director, and we met with the town manager. So rushing through, it was not rushed through. We tore apart everything. We met with the Finance Committee. That thing was pulled apart numerous times. So for anybody to say that, because we had such a rough town budget the year before because of the school and stuff like that, it was because the town manager had a good relationship with Mr. Powers, and that part worked out well. That was the only problem we had the year before, was with the school budget. So, I mean, we took our time, we did a lot of work, and you know, Mr. President, you were the chair of it. And, I mean, we covered every corner, we brought in all kinds of people, so I think we did a thorough job on the budget. Thank you.
I didn't say that.
Councilor Trocchio?
So, you know, these are going to be some tough decisions, but I know we can. What this resolution is doing is asking someone who is fully employed by the taxpayer to analyze and look at the budget for us to maintain funding for the library. If we cut the funding for the library and continue this trajectory, we know that the state is not going to look at our appeal. And if we know the state's not going to be like looking at this appeal, we know that we're going to lose funding. This is something that the library already went through over 10 years ago. It was completely reaccredited. We just had somebody come in here and tell us that they homeschool their children and that they basically rely on the library. What type of legacy do we set as a town council by saying, you know what, it's okay to cut the library because, you know what, Monday through Thursday, I use it once in a while. It's no big deal. To me, the library is a big deal. To a lot of people, the library is something very important. If the library were to be a policy stance that would come forward today, it probably wouldn't even pass. That's prime real estate. That's an amazing area. We need to fight with every ounce of energy to sustain the funding of the library. This is the only, how many times does he have to say it? This is the only department that if we do not sustain funds, we will not receive funds matching from the state and we lose accreditation. We can find it. We can do it. We have over $15 million in stabilization, and we're not setting a precedent. I can understand the slippery slope argument. This is not a slippery slope argument because no other department will lose accreditation. I yield my time. Thank you.
Councilor Libby?
I think Councilor Kennedy was next and then me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll comment on that. It's 100% a slippery slope argument because we don't have a revolving fund for that department. So every single year until we get until an override passes or the state suddenly wakes up and actually funds our local governments with unrestricted aid, which they've been not doing, which is why we are having these current problems, we will be dipping into stabilization funding to fund the library over and over again. I support funding the library when we have the money for it. We just voted on a budget, and hold on, I'm speaking. Taking stabilization funds repeatedly has a trickle effect on other aspects in the town. We need bond ratings to do repairs. We need bond ratings to do infrastructure. We need bond ratings to do things that affect all of the citizens. Not everybody uses a library. I'm not arguing that we don't pay for it because the library isn't used by every single citizen. I also homeschool one of my kids. We also use the library. I'm also sitting up here saying we have to take money from something else to fund it because we don't have enough money. And a lot of that comes down to not getting enough local aid from our state level. And we also had an override that didn't pass because the residents felt like they didn't want to raise their property taxes. So the library is important for a lot of people. A lot of people use the library. It's a great service. But again, the decision is going to be is what do we take away from to fund it? And revolving stabilization funds that were used for the schools were replenished because they were able to be replenished, which is one of the only reasons I even supported doing it, because I had to put trust in the town manager that he was good at his job and could replace those funds, and he did. And that's why I supported it. And I said at that time I wouldn't be supporting doing a revolving stabilization fund usage for the schools, and that didn't come up this cycle, which I'm happy about. But at the same time, the library funding, once we start doing it this year, if next year we don't have an override or an increase in local aid, we're just going to dip into stabilization funds again. And eventually that affects bond ratings for all other projects within town. I don't like any of this. I don't. I really want to have the library funded. But it's the choices that we have to make while we sit up here are very important and have effects on other parts of the town and other things that residents use and other employees. There's just a lot more to it. So and different councilors can support different ways of funding that, and those are discussions that'll have place. I'll vote this forward so the town manager can bring back a plan for the council to hear out. But again, it's not as simple as we pass this and then we get funding for the library, and I just want to make sure residents understand that. I had a lot of residents reach out over this, quite a few, and I gave them a very straightforward response that we have a lack of funding and we're not getting that support, and we can look at avenues for this, but that's the reality of what the voters in Bridgewater decided, and this is what happens after those votes take place, is there is a lack of funding.
Go to Councilor Lindy and then
So, I just want to point out that the library has taken a 20.8% cut between 2003 and 2026. It was funded back in 2003 at $963,365, and it's being proposed for this year at, I don't have the, I can't read my own handwriting. I don't have my readers on. But it's going to be 0.84% of our budget. It's not even the 1% it's been for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. It's taken a hit over and over again. We're not talking about $450-something thousand we took out of stabilization fund for the schools. We're talking about 100 or less, okay? I understand the slippery slope, but we are not meeting the needs of this community, period, if we do this. And the library directors prepared infographics. I gave them out to each counselor. There's a bunch of them on the table. We're gonna lead a campaign and spearhead, 6 days a week versus 4 days a week. We had a staff, there was a huge staff back in the day with 19 part-time employees and 9 full-time employees. We have 7 full-time employees and 1 part-time employee. It's hard to even keep the doors open. And when Councilor McGrath mentioned that statement, that wasn't me saying that. That was a resident saying that to me, that they wished we had had 2 more weeks to study and shift and suggest cuts in the budget. We were told as councilors that we needed to get that budget passed at that meeting. Personally, I don't think 2 brand-new councilors that just walk into the council should be voting their first vote on the budget. Luckily, Councilor Spagone was the chairwoman of the Finance Committee, and Councilor Trocchio attended a lot of our meetings. But that's a hell of a way to start your council term, not being part of that full budget process. I just think it's ludicrous to go down this path.
Councilor Trocchio?
Yep.
Did you want to say?
Sorry, I wasn't getting heated at you, I was getting it heated, like at the passion of the argument. But no, I really do think that this is, we can, what we're asking for is basically information for us to make a decision. And I think the people should know the information, we should know the information should just be discussed here in the open forum, and then based on that intelligence gathering, we can develop a course of action and plan attack. So let's just, there's really not much we can say anymore. I think we've kind of just beat a dead horse, but let's, I really, thank you so much for everyone for coming here, but let's just really try to explore every avenue and, our arguments, what it's going to be, and, hopefully we can keep this library accredited. That's the goal. Keeping the library accredited is the ultimate purpose. Keeping it accredited. That's it.
Any further discussion? Okay, I'll
Ask for a roll call vote.
Yeah, 1 second. I'm just going to wrap it up with my comments. I will do a roll call vote. I'll say to folks, this resolution aside and just the library aside, I fully support funding the library. I've said this since I sat here last spring, but Bridgewater has a revenue issue, and Councilor Kennedy summed that up pretty nicely. Whether we want to go back to the state, the federal government, our taxpayers, however we do it, we have a revenue issue, folks, and it affects our schools, it's affecting our library, it affects our public safety. And if this is the road the residents would like to go down, we're going to live within our means, just as they asked us to do with last year's vote. Last year's override, when I formulated that, I did include an extra staff member for the library, and I did include funding that archive position. That was part of that override that went forth last year and ultimately failed. So, and even the 2 women that spoke tonight about the clinician was in there as a position that our town could have fulfilled. So unfortunately, this is what we're doing now, is we're living within our means, and while the library is sort of the first issue that's been raised up, and rightfully so, the fire department may be next, the senior center will be next, and so we have to find a long-term solution to how we're gonna fund these things, or we're gonna have to keep making significant cuts. And it's not on the town council. I think it's, again, as I said at the beginning of the meeting, all of us need to come together and find a way. Are we going to move forward in this direction or that direction? But we can sit up here and fight all day, but at the end of the day, we all know that we need to address the larger issue. And so I know our friends in the library can help us do that. Our friends at the school committee can help us do that, public safety. But the bigger issue needs to be addressed so that we can solve it long term. So with that said, I will take a roll call vote. Please, Debbie.
Oh, Mr. President, just to make sure, the motion is to retain it at the council level, correct?
Correct, yes, that's the motion that's been made.
Councilor Ellenberg?
Yes.
Councilor Spagone?
Yes.
Councilor Hunt?
Yes.
Councilor Kennedy?
Yes.
Councilor Murphy?
Yes.
Councilor Trocchio?
Yes.
Councilor Perry?
Yes.
Councilor Lindy?
Yes.
And Councilor McGrath?
Yes.
9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, thank you all very much. We will move on to the citizens' open comment period. Just a reminder to folks that due to Massachusetts open meeting law requirements, discussions will not take place during public comment periods. If appropriate, responses to the questions will be given at a future town council meeting by the town manager. So anyone may comment at this period for up to 3 minutes.
And Mr. President, since we're getting close to that hour, do we need to take a vote preemptively to go past 10 p.m.?
We can if you'd like to do that before we.
I would like to make the motion that we allow the meeting to go past 10 p.m.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Perry. All those in favor for extending the meeting to Councilor Spigot, do you want to give a time certain?
It's, I'd say probably 10:15.
Dean, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Keeping with tradition, the motion passes 8-1, and we will move to citizens comment.
Gina Gasconi, Ball Avenue. I'll talk quick, so you won't go past 10 o'clock. I just want to say good discussions tonight, to the point. I thought we were going to be out by 10, but it didn't work. But they were very to the point. To address what Councilor Spigot said about people leaving because the meetings are too long, could be the case. Could also be the case that I've seen many, many times, and if anybody remembers our old town meetings, people come in, they hear what they want to hear, and they leave. They don't stay for the whole meeting. I selected interest groups. They come, they hear their issue on the library, or they hear their issue on something, they are out the door. Used to be the same thing at town meetings. They would pack the meeting, motion to have something taken out of order, be gone. So I think, yes, it could be long meetings. It could, people just don't want to stay and hear anything else. As far as the open meeting law training, I think that's a great idea. Carlton and I went to one a number of years ago, and I think, even though you think you know, not you guys, but somebody thinks they know the open meeting law, they don't. There's always something you forget. And I'd like to suggest that it's not just for the council, but it's for all boards, committees, and commissions, because I think they all need to hear that too. And I just want to thank Councilor Spigot for working with the other councilors for the 2 resolutions. Okay.
Thank you.
Carlton Hunt, 80 Ogden Street. Thank you for the meeting. I know it's long, but actually, you're doing good work. Thank you. I feel the pain with respect to the library. 15 years ago, I was chair of the Library Board of Trustees when we got closed. No, we were allowed to be open 20 hours a week. We were still decertified. It's painful, very painful. Thank you, Attorney Rollins, for informing the town council and the citizens to avoid jeopardizing bargaining positions in open meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Kennedy, for explaining what's going on with the water situation and clarifying those steps. I really appreciate that. That's long overdue. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Murphy, for leading a very good discussion and good meeting and setting up the water forum. That is a critical step. I'm a little bit concerned about the limitation on a 30-minute presentation. The CPC, and I've said this before, and the Energy Committee are required by the town code to come before the town council annually. I did a long energy one a few months ago now, because I was taking back my time. 15 minutes times 3 is 45 minutes. The CPC is now forced almost an hour late. And we need to have that conversation, because I think there's a very lot of confusion about what the CPA money can support and how we go about doing it. And I just wanted to say that, thank you, but I think you need to really consider the limitations on presentations carefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hunt. I'm just going to clarify, Dr. Hunt, it was a joint effort between myself and the town manager on the water forum. So as much as I want to take all the credit, he also helped support that.
I've been dying to come back up here. First of all, I want to tell you that.
Could you just start with your name and address, please?
I'm sorry,
Thank
Nancy
you very much.
Sano, 75 Lake Street. I'm a trustee for many, 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 many think many, many years. First of all, I'd like to say that the library budget only reflects 2% of the town budget. Also, the library has been cut about 26%. Are you going to tell, I thought I heard tonight that the rest of the departments were cut like 11 or 12%. So we're not happy that it's not been equal. And I thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you for your support of the library. Good night.
Thank you. The applause has certainly dropped off a little bit. Thank you.
For the record, just some fun stuff. How am I gonna scan this, Janet? I don't know, you should see me trying to make copies. I have, well, first I want to mention Concom, Janet Hanson, Pleasant Street, sorry.
Thank you.
Concom is still working on wells 10A and 10B areas, so I assume that work is still going to stop when it gets to that point. And I just want to make sure that's clarified, that it sounds like work is going, but it's got to stop at some point because they have an NOI on that right now. As far as citizen comments, 5 minutes. Can we move it to 5 minutes instead of 3? Because I'm at my kitchen timer reading my thing so fast. And I dropped one thing because I was going over my 3 minutes. And put less on an agenda per meeting and maybe only one presentation in a meeting and not 2, because that adds to the time. But I found these. These are the old the last day of selectmen's meeting. I found these. Thank you. Pass it on, because I have enough of these, but then the others I don't. There's not 9 here. See the articles that I was, so maybe share. There are newspaper articles for the last selectmen meeting.
Oh, Ronnie and Mr. Levy.
My son and my husband, he was 7th grade, 8th grade, he wanted to see the last meeting. So for some reason I wasn't there, so I probably was working. So I found these in my papers at home. These are newspaper articles on the last meeting, which was November 8th of 2010. And it's very informative. Initially, the meetings we had were for Bridgewater, East and West Bridgewater, and North Bridgewater, which is now Brockton. The first meeting was November 3rd, 1656, in the Stockade in West Bridgewater. All the men were required to attend. There was 54 of them. If they skipped the meeting, they were fined 1 shilling and 6 pence. If they left early or arrived late, they were fined 9 pence, whatever that is. Women weren't allowed to vote, but if they were head of a household, they could go. But the last meeting, November 8th of 2010, was in the high school in Bridgewater, and there was 15,647 voters at the time. There weren't that many that went, but the moderator and the town clerk dressed up in the old style clothes. So it was interesting. But the first meetings, they talked about having bounties on wolves. That was a big thing back then. And then the meeting on, it tells what the meeting was for this last meeting. But I thought you might like to be interested in the selectmen. There's pros and cons on both. I personally didn't vote to switch to town council, but everybody thinks town selectmen was really good and town council is bad, but grass isn't necessarily always greener. There's good and bad in both, pros and cons in both. But I just thought it was very interesting to read, and if you can share, I'm sorry I wasn't able to copy. That was torture enough. But it was in 4 different papers. But it was pretty interesting to read, so I thought you might like to read about that.
So you leave them to me to copy.
And I gave them to you.
Thank you, Ms. Hanson.
Yeah.
Timely with the Charter Review Committee meeting coming up on Thursday, too, so thank you.
Pardon me?
I said timely with the Charter Review Committee meeting coming up on
Yeah, I
Thursday
mean,
as well,
there's-
too.
There's a lot of stuff to go over, but it was interesting, and if you didn't come, you were fined, so.
Yeah.
Hopefully, but I think it was only 150 in the last meeting or something like
Well,
that.
that's one way to make revenue for the town.
Yeah, there you go.
1 shilling, 6 pence.
And it was a good meeting tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Okay, we will move to councilor comments, and I will start with Councilor Ellenberg, please.
Thank you and good night, everyone. I'm not going to take up more time.
Thank you. Councilor Spigot?
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually did want to, first, thanks, Janet, for this. I actually read this the day after it was actually printed in the Enterprise, so this is a bit of a nostalgia and also like a reminder of that I actually was there for that meeting. Now I feel old. But I did want to actually share a little bit of update on something that a resident had asked about earlier. I have proposed a piece of legislation called the Water Act, or the Water Accountability and Temporary Emergency Restrictions Act. Great acronym. I wanted to let folks know I have made some progress. I've been able to meet with the town attorney and stop me if I go over anything that shouldn't have been gone over, but I don't think I have. He helped me understand what I can and can't do with my ordinance that I want to do. But holistically, I'm hoping to have it before the council in the very near term. I was waiting on an additional piece of information. I'll have a conversation with Mr. Rollins, and I think then it'll be ready for prime time. But the general overview of it, if folks didn't see it online when I posted it to my own personal Facebook page, is that it stipulates everything from a building moratorium to a water moratorium, and that is actually the sticking point that I still need to work with Mr. Rollins on. But overall, it is part of the solution that I wanted to try to bring forth to the town to try to stem the tide of issues that we have had relating to water usage and also overbuilding in the community. So I'm hopeful that I can get this to my colleagues in the very near term so that we can have a fulsome conversation and maybe hopefully pass it. The other thing I wanted to mention was that it was a great attendance for the Memorial Day events last week. It's always good to come out and commemorate those who have served this country and given the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms and liberties, and for that I am eternally grateful. It is a debt that can never be repaid by us, but we shall do so in honoring them every day we have a chance to, not just on Memorial Day, but every day throughout the year. And then my last item is that I wanted to thank folks for coming out to the Pride flag raising yesterday. I had an opportunity to speak, and it was a good time had by all. And the Pride flag will be up at least through the middle of June, and then they will switch out to the Juneteenth flag. So I think that's everything I have, and I want to make sure I don't go towards the 10:15 deadline. So I will leave it there, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Hunt?
Yes, I wanted to say a quick thank you to you, President Murphy, for your speech yesterday at the Pride flag raising. I thought that was wonderful. And this morning, our town manager spoke at this, which is the South Coast Rail's first year in review, which was very, very interesting and very good. I hope next year we're going to do it again, and it's even going to be more about a town like Bridgewater. Maybe instead of like the 4 major towns, they'll use some of the minor towns and talk to us about that. And then I just, I bring things in out of the newspaper. But this one was at the bottom of the front page, and it said, "Best coffee shop winner opens new location at the YMCA," talking about the Boundless Bean opening a new one over at the YMCA in East Bridgewater, and good for them. They're fantastic, and that's it.
Thank you. Councilor Trogio?
Thank you very much. This is what democracy looks like. It's discussions, it's spirited debate. This is what making sausage looks like. It's not pretty. There's different stakeholders. So I'm honored to be here, and I'm learning a lot, and I think we can really do some good things on this council. Thank you for your leadership. Vice President, thank you for clarifying a lot of water stuff. But I'm looking forward to going home soon. So thank you.
Councilor Perry?
Thank you. Similarly, as mentioned before, thanks to all that came out for Memorial Day, for the parade and the events on the Common. Unfortunately, had a little rain. We were prepared with some tents to help out the speakers and the veterans that were in attendance. So thank you to all those that came on out. Want to mention thank you to Fire Effects for what was mentioned earlier with David Moore, and they're stepping up to help out with the Veterans Banner Program. I think Bridgewater was one of the first towns to do those banners. Now we see a lot of them in surrounding towns. David's been working on that for many years. I don't like seeing him climbing up on ladders, so I'm glad they're helping him out, putting him up and taking him down. Want to give congratulations to all the graduating seniors at BR from this past Friday. We had a good number of counselors come out for graduation, and a little rain on that day as well, but they got through, and almost 330, 40 students done in an hour and a half is pretty good timing. But also congratulations to all the any other Bridgewater senior students graduating from any other high schools, BP, Bristol Aggie, Cardinal Spellman, you name it, anywhere they go, and want to congratulate those seniors as well. And echoing Mr. Trocchio again, great banter tonight about the about the library and stuff, and more discussion is going to have to take place. Again, if I could write a check for 60 grand and make sure that the library is fully funded, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But there are limitations on our budget, and I believe if there was extra funding that the town manager could put into that library budget, he would have, so they would be fully funded. It's going to be a big challenge to figure out where we could find those funds. If they can be found, I'd be happy to support that. But as mentioned by a resident earlier this evening, it's not a town problem. It's a federal problem. We're not getting federal funding. We're not getting state funding. So it trickles down to us. And unless we come together at some point in time and realize that we do have a financial funding problem to support all the things that we need here in town, public safety, library, senior center, just our town employees in general, we are going to have to step up and potentially contribute more to what we need as a town to function. We are, I've said it many, many times before, we're way, way behind a town of our size and the size of the budget that we have here in town compared to other towns of our size. So we're really going to have to strongly consider an override. The last time we were decertified and the last time we had to close a senior center and desperate things happened, an override was passed to get it done. So we might be at that stage again, and I think we're going to have to strongly consider it very soon, because if we don't and keep on kicking this can down the line, the FY28 budget, it's not going to be very pretty. But again, that's the work that needs to be done and more conversations that need to be had. That's all I got. Thank you.
Councilor Lindy?
I have a pen right here, so you can sign on the dotted line. The check's underneath the top sheet that doesn't say anything on it. I appreciate all the residents that were here and all the participation and the spirited discussion. I'll ditto all the different things that Kevin said about the Memorial Day Parade. I thought the Pride event was wonderful yesterday. I thought our counselor did a wonderful job, completely off the cuff. I told her I would give her an A+ as a speech teacher, and our council president did a wonderful job as well. It was a great event, and it makes everyone in Bridgewater know that everybody is welcome here. So I'm sure we're going to, crunch some numbers, do some math, and figure out something. I also share Councilor McGrath's sentiments towards the senior center too. Okay, that's every time budgets are cut in a town, it's libraries, senior centers, veterans. What do I'm not calling us politicians, because we're public servants, because we don't get paid for this. We don't get $174,900 that congressmen get, okay? And a lifetime pension, whether they work or not. But I do believe that, people need to know that we take this seriously. I think we're discussing things calmly, maybe spiritedly, but calmly, and we just got to go onward and upward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor McGrath?
Thank you, Mr. President. I also went to the South Coast Rail Transportation at BSU today. There were great ideas on making our town a destiny town that will generate revenue for us. The other thing, as town works towards solving our water problems, we should support our town employees rather than criticizing them. They are working on behalf of our town on the very problems that we want fixed. So I hope that we can work together in a constructive way to solve all our town's problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Council McGrath. Council Kennedy.
Try to keep this short. A lot of what I wanted to say was already said, so I appreciate that. Whether it's the banners being hung up with Fire for Effect or David Moore, that's a great service. Unfortunately, I missed your speech for Memorial Day, but I'll try to make the next one. I appreciate all the residents that stay to the end. I know it's a long meeting. We do this a lot. My last comment will be, we're trying to ask the town manager to look under couch cushions for 60 grand, and the state budget is $63 billion. So there's a funding issue, and some of it is local, but a lot of it is state, in my opinion, at least. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kennedy. And for me, myself, I just wanted to again thank our Veterans Agent, the Veterans Council, and all those folks that put together the Memorial Day event. It was a great event despite the weather. Also had the opportunity to attend Fire for Effect event that took place on Sunday for the Mitchell School. Friends of the Mitchell School was a great event. Unfortunately, my son left in tears because he fell off the inflatable, but he's okay. But it was a great event. And so continue to support the Fire for Effect Foundation. They do an incredible job for Bridgewater and offer up those opportunities and also give back to a lot of great organizations and charities. A reminder again, the 4th of July committee is out there and doing their thing. That event is 100% fundraised, and so that committee comes together and volunteers to raise that money. It's a big year for our town, 250th, and so we want to do everything we can to have that great celebration. I know every Monday evening they're at Barrett's raising money there. They have a golf tournament coming up. They're looking for, excuse me, sponsors there as well too, and they have a great t-shirt design this year, so please look into that and purchase a t-shirt from those folks. Also wanted to reiterate the water forum again. I can't speak enough about that opportunity. June 23rd, more information will come out, and I'll ask the fellow councilors and all those that can to help spread that word so we can get the word out there to folks to attend that, be educated, and then have the opportunity to ask questions. And then finally, kind of reiterating what Councilor McGrath said in terms of town staff, I would just ask our citizens to just be mindful right now when coming into the town hall or working with town staff. We just took a pay cut away from some folks that affect them personally. And I know we're in difficult times, but just please be mindful of that when you approach the town clerk's office or approach the library folks or approach anybody in the town manager's office. Be mindful of what you're asking and just be kind in doing so. It doesn't cost anything to be kind, and that's the least we could do for those folks, especially after what they've just gone through. So again, thank you all for a great meeting, and looking forward to seeing you all again in 2 weeks. Thank you. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Councilor Spagone, seconded by Councilor Perry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.